Chapter 28:16. Ning Shu looked at Ding Xuehai and asked, "How did you know that Huang Shanshan wasn't feeling well?" Ding Xuehai said directly, "She sent me a message saying that she wasn't feeling well. I thought she was your friend, so I told you to go and see her." Ning Shu was speechless. Sending a message to a friend's boyfriend saying that she wasn't feeling well, she was obviously trying to get your pity. But it seemed that Ding Xuehai wasn't interested. Instead, he asked his girlfriend to see Huang Shanshan. She wasn't feeling well. Why didn't she tell me? Did she contact you often? Could it be that the two of you were chatting about friendship? Ding Xuehai immediately raised his hands and said, "If you want to say that she contacted me frequently, that's not true. She occasionally sends me a message, and it's mostly about you." Ning Shu smiled and said, "Of course I believe you. Come with me to see her when you have time." Ding Xuehai shook his head. "She's your friend. You can go see her if you want. I don't need to go." Ding Xuehai looked like he wanted to avoid arousing suspicion. Ning Shu didn't say anything. Should he say, "Do you know that Huang Shanshan likes you?" If he said those words, it would only add to the awkwardness. He would also be expressing his feelings for Huang Shanshan. He couldn't do such a thing. Moreover, Ding Xuehai was acting like he didn't know, didn't understand, and didn't accept. If she made a fuss, it would be troublesome. "All right, I'll go see her when I'm free." Ning Shu nodded and didn't pursue the matter of the two of them contacting each other. Ding Xuehai wanted to say something but stopped. Ning Shu looked at his expression and asked, "Do you have something to say?" Ding Xuehai said, "Huang Shanshan said that someone was following her. She felt a shadow beside her, but she didn't know if it was a person or a ghost. You'd better stay away from her." Ning Shu smiled and nodded. "I know what to do. Don't worry." It seemed that Ding Xuehai didn't like this kind of thing. What ghosts and gods? He was probably a firm materialist. Huang Shanshan wanted to gain sympathy and a man's pity. She shouldn't talk about ghosts. Even if people didn't believe it, they would feel scared. However, Ning Shu believed that Huang Shanshan was probably troubled by these things. Especially now that the problem with the furnace had been solved, and the great immortal statue in the house had already collapsed. It no longer had the power to protect her, and there would only be more and more evil spirits in the house. These evil spirits wanted to tear her apart at all times. Even if they didn't have the strength to kill you, they would scare you to death. Ning Shu shrugged his shoulders. He just wanted Huang Shanshan to have a taste of living in fear. And she didn't believe him. "Then you have a good rest. I'll go back first." Ding Xuehai patted Ning Shu's head gently. While Ning Shu was talking, the door was suddenly banged on. The knocking on the door was particularly anxious and forceful. Ding Xuehai and Ning Shu looked at each other, silently asking who it was. It was impolite to knock on the door and disturb people. Ding Xuehai opened the door and saw Huang Shanshan's thin and haggard face. He had dark circles under his eyes and looked haggard. It seemed like he hadn't slept for a few days. Huang Shanshan's face was originally angry, but when she saw Ding Xuehai open the door, the anger on her face froze, making her face look a little twisted. "Ding Xuehai. Do you need something?" Huang Shanshan took a deep breath and calmed herself down. She pushed Ding Xuehai away and walked into the house. When she saw Ning Shu sitting on the sofa, she asked sharply, "Chen Min, why did you do this to me?" Ning Shu was puzzled and asked in confusion, "What are you talking about? What did I do to you?" "You." Huang Shanshan stopped herself from blurting out. It wasn't easy for her to control herself. When she found that thing on the sofa, Huang Shanshan was both shocked and angry. She didn't know what was going on before, but she was harassed every day. Those terrifying monsters chased her every day. However, because the great immortal was protecting the house, nothing serious happened. But not long ago, the great immortal statue suddenly collapsed and fell from the altar. The great immortal wouldn't protect her anymore. In the end, even more terrifying things happened. It was too scary. Huang Shanshan couldn't sleep at night. When she opened her eyes, monsters appeared in front of her. She went to find the shop owner, but the customer service staff and the shop owner had disappeared. She couldn't contact them at all. You know what you've done, Chen Min. You're too evil. Huang Shanshan was furious when she thought of what had happened in the past few days. Now, she was exhausted and didn't feel good. She was about to go crazy. She wanted to see Ding Xuehai, but Ding Xuehai's attitude towards her was very distant. That was until she accidentally found this thing. It was something she had placed in Chen Min's house. How did it suddenly end up in her house? Chen Min found out, but didn't say anything. She secretly placed this thing in her house. This woman's scheming was so deep that it made her feel cold. What made Huang Shanshan's teeth chatter was that she had found out, but she quietly took revenge on her. Ning Shu looked innocent and confused. He and Ding Xuehai looked at each other. Senior, what are you talking about? How am I evil? What did I do to you for you to say that I'm evil? Ning Shu felt that it was a pity that she had discovered it too early. But looking at Huang Shanshan's sallow face and her skin was so thin that it was sagging, she was probably scared out of her wits. In the plot, Huang Shanshan would go crazy as she watched the client go crazy. Then, when they broke up, she would immediately take over Ding Xuehai. Huang Shanshan's faith was filled with jealousy and possessiveness. Those furnaces absorbed such desires. Ning Shu felt that it was the biggest joke in the world if they could become gods. It was good if they didn't become monsters. As for this thing, since he had discovered it, Ning Shu was completely fearless. If Huang Shanshan was smart, she wouldn't dare to say this in front of Ding Xuehai. Moreover, this thing was clearly made by Huang Shanshan. First of all, Huang Shanshan couldn't explain herself. Even if Ding Xuehai wanted to break up, he wouldn't be with Huang Shanshan. Ding Xuehai frowned. He felt that these two women had secrets, and he was the only one who was kept in the dark. He felt that he was a fool. Ding Xuehai looked at Huang Shanshan. What are you talking about? What do you mean? Huang Shanshan endured it, her face trembling. When she saw the smiling Ning Shu, the anxiety and anger in her heart filled her body, making her feel like her body was about to explode. Ning Shu said, "Yes, what do you want to say? You're saying that I'm evil. You're saying that I did something bad to you. What do you mean? And why would I do something bad to you? Aren't we friends?" Ning Shu looked at Huang Shanshan and asked. "Senior, are you really okay?" Huang Shanshan took a deep breath. She couldn't be impulsive. If she was impulsive, she would only hurt herself/BK. Chapter 28:17. If she really told the truth, even if Ding Xuehai didn't like Chen Min, he wouldn't like her either. For Ding Xuehai, for the sake of establishing a foothold in this big city, she had to endure. Looking at Chen Min who was sitting quietly on the sofa, Huang Shanshan clenched her fists so hard that her nails dug into her palms. The sharp pain made Huang Shanshan calm down. "Nothing, Chen Min, I was just joking with you. You're really vicious. I'm sick, why didn't you come to see me? Don't you think you're vicious?" Huang Shanshan said with a smile. Ning Shu immediately said, "I just told Ding Xuehai that we'll go see you together. I didn't expect you to come first. I apologize for this." Huang Shanshan sat beside Ning Shu. "You really should apologize to me." Ding Xuehai was speechless. Women were all crazy. They were so competitive just now. It didn't seem like they were joking. Huang Shanshan rushed in. That angry and frightened look wasn't fake. What was she playing at? What illness did you get? You suddenly became so thin. Your face is yellow and thin. Did you get liver disease? Ning Shu asked with concern. Both women knew. Seeing the concern on each other's face, Huang Shanshan only sneered in her heart. Her expression was neither yin nor yang, and her expression was especially ugly. Ning Shu said directly, "Don't look at me like that. I know what you're talking about. It's that little thing, right? It's on you now, right? Take it out. You." Since the other party admitted it so directly, Huang Shanshan didn't dare to take it out. Her heart was extremely flustered. Ding Xuehai was speechless. He was already a little impatient with the two women's riddles. What's the matter? What are you talking about? Things between women were really troublesome. Nothing. Huang Shanshan looked at Ning Shu warningly. It's not good to take out this kind of thing in front of your boyfriend. Ding Xuehai, don't ask anymore. This is for women. Since Huang Shanshan said so, Ding Xuehai didn't ask anymore. It was for women. As a man, what could he say? However, Ding Xuehai was clear in his heart that these two best friends were hiding things in their hearts. Although they were friendly on the surface, they were not on good terms with each other. Ding Xuehai had also bid farewell to the ivory tower for a long time. He had been in the society for a long time. How could he not see the discord between these two people? Ding Xuehai couldn't ask Huang Shanshan, but couldn't he ask his girlfriend? What's going on? Huang Shanshan was very flustered. If Chen Min really told the truth, this matter would eventually be traced back to her. Seriously speaking, Chen Min had to fight back. If Ding Xuehai knew about it, her image in Ding Xuehai's heart would be ruined. In the face of Ding Xuehai's questioning, Ning Shu appeared very calm and indifferent. It's something bad. If you want to see this thing, let Huang Shanshan take it out. You also know that I wasn't feeling well some time ago. There were some dirty things in the house. Ning Shu said unhurriedly. Ding Xuehai looked at the pale Huang Shanshan. What is it? Can you show it to me? Huang Shanshan thought that Chen Min cared a lot about her boyfriend, Ding Xuehai, and wouldn't dare to tell the truth in front of Ding Xuehai. Even if she used this thing, Chen Min also used this thing to harm others. Did Chen Min really not care about her image in Ding Xuehai's heart? Wasn't she afraid that Ding Xuehai would be unhappy and break up with her? One had to know that Ding Xuehai was quite a good partner. His family background was good, and he didn't have the shortcomings of ordinary men. He could earn money and was also handsome. If she married such a man and was able to gain a foothold in a big city, she didn't believe that Chen Min wouldn't be afraid at all. Facing Ding Xuehai's cold eyes, Huang Shanshan felt like her heart was being stabbed by a knife. Was Chen Min planning to die with her? What exactly is it that I can't see? Ding Xuehai sneered and looked at the two women. Ning Shu suddenly felt like laughing. This kind of scene was a bit like a palace plot. For a man, two women were hurting each other. Speaking of which, it was really for a man. Ding Xuehai was like an ancient emperor. TSK, TSK, TSK. Since ancient times, this kind of war between the opposite sex had never stopped. There weren't thousands of soldiers and horses, but it was still bloody. Ding Xuehai glared at Ning Shu. At this time, he could still laugh. Ding Xuehai was so serious. What was he laughing about? Miss Huang, please take out the thing. What did you put in my girlfriend's room? Ding Xuehai asked. Huang Shanshan was about to explode in anger. She also felt quite wronged. Chen Min clearly put it in her room. I didn't put it. Chen Min put it in my room. She wants to harm me. Huang Shanshan tried to struggle to save her image in Ding Xuehai's heart. Ning Shu tilted his head and looked at Huang Shanshan. Why would I harm you? What's the reason? There's no love without a reason, and there's no hatred without a reason. I ate too much, so I wanted to harm you. Tell me, why? Huang Shanshan blurted out, it's because I like Ding Xuehai. You're afraid that your boyfriend will have a change of heart, so, Huang Shanshan immediately calmed down. Her expression was very vexed. How could she say such things? Ning Shu's face was full of surprise and doubt. You like Ding Xuehai? Oh, so you want to be friends with me because of Ding Xuehai? Senior, I respect you so much, but you actually got close to me and used me to get close to my boyfriend. Senior, I trusted you so much. Ding Xuehai was speechless. So, how did it involve him again? His attitude towards Huang Shanshan was that of his girlfriend's friend, and she was his girlfriend's schoolmate. He usually wouldn't flirt with other women. Firstly, he liked Chen Min. Secondly, Chen Min was a little inferior. When facing him, she couldn't let go of herself. Ding Xuehai also felt tired. He didn't know what to do to support Chen Min's self-esteem. Their conditions were indeed a little different, but Chen Min's inferiority made Ding Xuehai feel very tired. Huang Shanshan felt a sense of panic that she couldn't explain. Especially when she saw Ding Xuehai's ugly expression, she didn't know how to save herself. This kind of doomsday panic felt as if Ding Xuehai was going to break up with her. Everything she did was for the sake of being with Ding Xuehai. But these two people didn't break up. She could only endure it every day. Ding Xuehai asked indifferently, what exactly is it? What is it? I'll ask you one last time. Ding Xuehai didn't get angry, didn't throw things, and spoke in a low voice, but it made people even more afraid. Huang Shanshan had no choice but to take out the thing from her bag. This thing wasn't big, and it was wrapped in talisman paper. Ding Xuehai picked up the thing and looked at it over and over. He asked, what is this? Is this a woman's thing? /BK. Chapter 28:18. For example, it would be fine if it was something more private, but he didn't expect it to be something like this. It was really interesting. He had never seen this thing before. Ning Shu felt that the sense of déjà vu was even stronger. The two concubines were using witchcraft to harm each other. Ding Xuehai looked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu spread his hands. You have to ask Huang Shanshan about this thing. I don't know. You put this thing in my house. When she found this thing, she was almost angered to death. Especially not long ago, when the great deity statue cracked, she was chased by ghosts everywhere. She accidentally tripped over the coffee table at home and fell to the ground. Then she found this thing. This thing was clearly in Chen Min's house. How did it suddenly come back to her house? Just like how Ning Shu suspected Huang Shanshan, Huang Shanshan also suspected Ning Shu immediately. She took this thing and came to question him. But she didn't expect Ding Xuehai to be here. When she thought about how the two of them were under the same roof and something indescribable had happened, Huang Shanshan felt an indescribable jealousy and sadness in her heart. This kind of sadness was like seeing her husband cheating on her. The feeling of betrayal was the same. Ding Xuehai was so angry that he laughed. His girlfriend was really strange. Tell me, what is this thing? He couldn't care less about others. He just wanted to get the truth from his girlfriend. Ning Shu said honestly, don't play with this thing in your hands. It's actually the ashes of hundreds of people put together. It's just a pinch of each person. Ding Xuehai hurriedly threw the thing on the coffee table and looked at the two women in horror. What are you playing with? Playing with ashes. Even if Ding Xuehai was a materialist, putting the ashes of the dead on his body was such a perverted thing. Ning Shu spread his hands and said, it's not that I want to play with it. In terms of feng shui, this should be considered a curse. You can think of it as this thing affecting the surrounding magnetic field. I wasn't feeling well a while ago, whether it was psychological or physical. I found this when I was cleaning. At first, I didn't know what it was, so I asked someone in this field to help me take a look. Senior sister did put it in my house, and I put this thing in senior sister's house. Are you satisfied with my explanation? Ding Shuahai's expression was wooden. He didn't know how to react. Huang Shanshan's face was ashen. She felt indignant and angry. Why was it that Chen Min was only feeling unwell, but she had seen so many floats? As soon as he opened his eyes, he would be harassed every day. Sometimes, when he was going up and down the stairs, he would be suddenly pushed and directly rolled down the stairs. He looked around, but there was no one around. Until now, there were still bruises on her body, and the pain was unbearable. It's not fair, it's not fair. Chen Min had a good boyfriend. Even if she was cursed, it would only cause her physical discomfort. How could anyone be willing to accept this? All the good things fell to Chen Min. How could Chen Min compare to her? Huang Shanshan's face was ferocious. She wanted to establish herself in this city. She wanted to have her own big house in this city. She didn't want to go back to that muddy land. Everything Chen Min had was Huang Shanshan's dream. However, Chen Min could get it with just a raise of her hand, but it was incomparably difficult for her. Even if Chen Min was telling the truth, Huang Shanshan still struggled to refute, I've never seen this thing at all. You were the one who put it in my house, and now you're slandering me. I like and admire Ding Shuahai, but it's only limited to the feelings between friends. You did this to me because of jealousy. In this world, it's either a man or a woman. Can you control your boyfriend to not interact with women? I've never restricted Ding Shuahai's interactions with others, and I can't control it, Ning Shu said. Even if he was the one who asked Ding Shuahai to reply a little late occasionally, and his mind was already filled with the temptation to go home, he really didn't control Ding Shuahai's interactions with others. As for Ding Shuahai himself, he wasn't someone who would mess around. Ning Shu tilted his head and looked at Huang Shanshan. Her expression was flustered and powerless, as if she was about to be abandoned by Ding Shuahai. Ning Shu suddenly felt that even if Huang Shanshan ended up with Ding Shuahai, they wouldn't be happy. They might even break up in the end. Because Ding Shuahai was someone she had obtained with great difficulty, and she already regarded Ding Shuahai as her possession. She placed all her hopes and attention on Ding Shuahai. Controlling her boyfriend's interactions with women, Ning Shu felt that Huang Shanshan would definitely do such a thing to Ding Shuahai in the future. Even if Huang Shanshan really ended up with Ding Shuahai, even if they got married and achieved her dream of establishing a foothold in the big city. After getting one thing, she would want more, and she would have to take it all from Ding Shuahai. Who the fuck could stand it? Huang Shanshan was a typical controlling personality. Ning Shu said directly, there's no point in arguing so much. Whether you bought this thing or not, can't you just look at the purchase record? Most of these things are bought online. There are purchase records. Do you dare to take out your phone and take a look? Ning Shu smiled and looked at Huang Shanshan. I admit that I put this thing in your house. You played a prank on me, and I played a prank on you. As soon as she heard the purchase record, Huang Shanshan's face instantly lost all color and became extremely pale. Ding Shuahai felt that if he didn't get to the bottom of this matter, he wouldn't be able to sleep. Girls were nice on the surface, but they could actually stab each other in the back. This made him feel as if he was in the middle of a workplace struggle. Whether it was Huang Shanshan or Chen Min, this girlfriend, they were a little different from his inherent impression. Ding Shuahai, please take out your phone. I'm not interrogating you. I just want to know the truth. At this time, Ding Shuahai was still cold and polite, but Huang Shanshan felt that he was getting further and further away from her. Did they really not have a chance to be together? Huang Shanshan didn't delete the purchase record. If she took it out now, the truth would definitely be revealed. Huang Shanshan didn't dare to take it out. However, Huang Shanshan's behavior had already explained many things. Huang Shanshan suddenly held Ding Shuehai's hand. "Can you give me a chance? I did all this for you." "Really, Ding Shuehai, I like you. I like you." Ding Shuehai pulled his hand away and the corners of his mouth twitched. "I can't bear it. I really can't bear it. What did she do wrong?" She still wanted to push the blame to him. Why didn't he know that she did it for his own good? For my sake. She was really good at pushing the blame. She clearly did it for herself, but she said it was for his sake. Did he see any benefits? Was it a promotion, a raise, or a windfall? Chapter 28:19. She didn't bring him any benefits, yet she could still shamelessly say that it was for him. Ding Shuehai was a finance major, so he analyzed the situation. Huang Shanshan said that it was for him, but it didn't bring him any benefits. Not only that, but she also wanted to break him and Chen Min up. He might lose a girlfriend. This kind of saying that it was all for him had no credibility at all. As for other men's feelings, wow, no matter how many mistakes this woman made, it was all because she loved him. His charm was so great, so helpless. Thus, Ding Shuehai decided to forgive her generously, but it didn't happen. Huang Shanshan was thunderstruck. "Don't you like me at all? Not even a little? Am I not beautiful? My job is not worse than Chen Min's. Why don't you like me? I thought you liked me. I sent you a message and you replied. Ding Shuehai, now I beg you to give me an answer. Ding Shuehai, I love you. Chen Min loves you even more. I'm willing to do anything for you." Ning Shu, she confessed to her boyfriend in front of her. Ning Shu crossed his legs and looked at the two of them with one hand supporting his cheek. He was treating her like a dead person. "Come and tear my legs apart." Ding Shuehai was scalded by Huang Shanshan's passionate feelings. "I'm sorry, I don't like you. Even if I don't get together with Chen Min, I won't be with you." This kind of irrational relationship was torturous, even with a girl like Chen Min who had low self-esteem. One threatened to jump off a building after breaking up, while the other would only turn around and leave arrogantly with low self-esteem. Then, she would hide and cry. Huang Shanshan was in so much pain that her whole body was trembling. She covered her face and wanted to run away. "Wait a minute!" Ning Shu shouted. He picked up the bag of ashes and stuffed it into Huang Shanshan's hand. "It's returned to its rightful owner. Don't come here to look for me in the future." Huang Shanshan didn't dare to take it. If she took it back, she would be haunted again. Huang Shanshan hurriedly threw it away and ran away with tears in her eyes. Ning Shu picked up the things on the ground and took them to the bathroom. He washed away the few ashes inside. Only the two of them were left in the room. The two of them looked at each other in silence. Ding Shuehai's expression was somewhat profound and indescribable. Ning Shu was the first to speak. "You think I'm scheming?" Ding Shuehai didn't say anything. Ning Shu continued, "When someone tries to scheme against me, should I cry? Should I take the things over to discuss them? A woman should be pure and innocent. If she can't even protect herself, how can she stand in this world? Historically, women were supposed to depend on men, and women should be pure and flawless. Even in ancient times, where women relied on men, the purity and flawlessness of women was only limited to their bodies. Even protecting himself had become a mistake. Waiting for the hero to save the damsel in distress was just a fairy tale. Even if he waited until the hero saved the damsel in distress, the corpse would have already hardened. That's not what I meant. It's just that you didn't tell me about it, Ding Shuehai said. You're pretty cool. You didn't even tell me. This is a matter between girls, Ning Shu said indifferently. Also, I've decided to move. He was looking for a new rental house. Huang Shanshan could find him here at any time. He didn't want to continue entangling with Huang Shanshan. Huang Shanshan couldn't have thought that throwing away this thing was over, right? There were still things waiting for him. It wasn't that simple. He felt that Huang Shanshan was especially aggrieved, but he didn't know what she was aggrieved about. Ding Xuehai nodded. You should move to another place. That senior of yours probably has some problems with her brain. Ning Shu made a sound of acknowledgement, and a silence lingered between the two. Ding Xuehai's silence, in Ning Shu's view, meant that he didn't agree with her actions. Even a rabbit would step on an eagle when faced with survival. If she really let Ding Xuehai solve everything and really relied on him wholeheartedly, he would get impatient sooner or later. So, what did he want her to do? I'm sorry for not telling you about this. Huang Shanshan likes you. This isn't your fault. I won't use other people's mistakes to argue with you. As for whether you agree with my actions or not, I still want to do it. Ning Shu felt that if there was anything, he should say it clearly. If they weren't together anymore, he could just take less soul power. Actually, the client was more or less self-abased. In this relationship, the client was self-abased. Even if they broke up, the client could pursue a career, get a promotion, and get a raise. His self-confidence would be boosted, and he wouldn't feel so inferior. He wouldn't have to worry about gains and losses and still have to endure it desperately. Thinking about how Ding Xuehai would let him take less soul power and affect his mission completion rate, Ning Shu felt that he was a little unpleasant to the eye. This kind of mission with an intimate other half was the most fucking difficult to do. Ding Xuehai was speechless. Ning Shu began to pack her things and prepared to move. As for the house, she had already taken a look at it. Because Huang Shanshan knew about this place, she didn't want to be entangled with Huang Shanshan. And before she left, she had already dealt with Huang Shanshan. When a person was doing something crazy, they could do anything. It was hard to guarantee that they wouldn't die together. Ding Xuehai also helped to pack her things. Where do you plan to move to? I'm still thinking. Anyway, we can't live here, Ning Shu replied. The two of them exchanged questions and answers. The rest of the time, the two of them were silently packing their things. Ding Xuehai was a little irritated by this silence. It's not that I don't believe you, but you didn't tell me about this. I feel like I'm being isolated by you. Ning Shu nodded. I understand how you feel. And I'm not lying to you. I was haunted by a ghost. I went out to destroy it. What I said was the truth. Why didn't anyone believe the truth? One had to be honest, but no one believed her. Ding Xuehai said, you went to the temple to destroy a ghost. Ning Shu nodded. Huang Shanshan ran out of the neighborhood and stood by the road. Suddenly, she saw a ghost that was bleeding all over and missing an arm or a leg. It was wandering back and forth on the road. And one car after another passed by the ghost. The ghost even turned back to look at Huang Shanshan. Its eyes were white and bleeding, and it actually walked towards her. Huang Shanshan was so scared that she hurriedly waved her hands. Don't come over, don't come over. The pedestrian standing beside Huang Shanshan, waiting for the traffic light to turn green, saw Huang Shanshan's behavior and looked at her as if she was crazy. Ah, don't come over. Huang Shanshan's scream didn't stop the ghost from dragging its leg and swimming towards her. Huang Shanshan was so scared that she stumbled and ran away. She was almost hit by a car. For a moment, car horns were blaring one after another. At a glance, Huang Shanshan felt as if she had come to hell. From time to time, there would be ghosts wandering around. Some of the ghosts died in especially miserable states. It was especially stimulating, /BK. Chapter 28-20. Why was she able to see so many ghosts? Huang Shanshan stumbled all the way back home. She hid at home and did not dare to go out. The moment she went out, Huang Shanshan could see ghosts wandering around. These ghosts all looked miserable. One look and one could tell that they had died a horrible death. Some people who jumped off the building had their souls stuck to the ground. Even if they had turned into souls, they were like rotten meat that had sunk into the ground. Their bodies were torn apart as they crawled around on the ground. Some of their legs were no longer there. Even their hands were broken. They were wriggling on the ground. Huang Shanshan was so scared that she vomited. She could not even eat. Even the sight of meat made her feel disgusted. Rotten meat-like souls appeared in her mind. She had already thrown that thing to Chen Min. Why was she still able to see these things? What were they? She could not see them at home. But when she went out, no matter where she went, she could see the tragic souls. These souls seemed to know that she could see them. They actually wanted to use her as a scapegoat. When she was walking, someone would push her to the side of the road. There were several times when she was almost killed by these ghosts. Huang Shanshan was scared half to death by the ghosts. She did not understand what was happening to her body. She felt that she could see things in another world. Was she cursed? Ning Shu had moved. He found a company that was closer to his company. It was easier this way. Huang Shanshan would definitely scare her. Did she really think that everything would be fine after she threw the thing here? It must feel good to open the third eye. However, Ning Shu realized one thing. There were a lot of wandering souls in this world. Especially those who died for no reason. They would constantly wander around the place of death. It was even worse than the world of reincarnation. Once a soul wandered around a place, the magnetic field of the place would change. It was especially easy for accidents to happen. For example, a place was especially prone to car accidents. Not many people died. Then, more souls wandered around. This made it easier for accidents to happen in this place. Even if they died from bumping or falling, it should be like the world of reincarnation. Especially those who died unjustly. Their souls had resentment and stayed in the living world. This caused problems with the magnetic field. Ning Shu could not help but frown. Was this a normal world or a world where humans and ghosts coexisted? But since there were so many ghosts, there was no ghost-catching industry. Since there were so many ghosts, there should be a corresponding business. This meant that this was still a normal world. There must be a reason why these souls with strong resentment didn't enter the world of samsara. There were so many living beings in this world, and people were dying at every moment for all sorts of reasons. However, if some souls entered the world of reincarnation, why didn't some enter? This kind of soul with strong desires was stuck in the world. Therefore, these souls changed the magnetic field and gave birth to monsters like the furnace. When the furnace was alive, it was used to incinerate corpses. Men, women, old, and young, no matter what kind of corpse it would be incinerated. After it was abandoned, it was slightly modified to be used to make pottery. By chance, it received faith and incense, and was born. Ning Shu said to 2333, "Let's report this to the organization." 2333 said, "Oh. Do you want to use the authorization ticket?" "Of course. I'm responsible for relaying the message. It's none of my business how you deal with it," Ning Shu said. It was obvious that there was a problem with the general direction of the world. Maybe there was a problem with the connection between this world and the world of samsara. If it was a normal world, there shouldn't be so many wandering souls. Even if there were some souls that didn't enter the world of samsara. But as time passed, the soul power of these souls would become weaker and weaker, and eventually the soul would be annihilated. But with so many souls, it changed the magnetic field of this world, making it more suitable for ghosts to live. 2333 reported the situation to the organization. "It's been reported." Ning Shu nodded and started to clean up the house. He cleaned up every corner. Ding Xuehai had something to do and didn't come. Ning Shu didn't force him. He didn't want to come. He was Chen Min's boyfriend, not hers. If he couldn't talk, it would only make things more awkward. Sometimes, being well-matched in social status wasn't a joke. It wasn't about money, but about the way people dealt with things. Worldview, values, and consumption could all be obstacles. One person was reluctant to spend money, and the other was particular about the quality of life. How uncomfortable it was to be together. Ning Shu completed her task. She leisurely went to work when she was supposed to and worked out when she was supposed to. But Huang Shanshan's days were much harder. Because she had opened her third eye, she could see ghosts anytime and anywhere. Sometimes, she would see a ghost that was constantly smashed to death by things falling from the building. It was repeated over and over again, and it was a bloody scene in front of her. That ghost would raise its head and smile at her. It would cry at her, and its lips would move as it said something to her. As it spoke, it would spit out blood. Huang Shanshan was in a trance now. She couldn't even do her work. Sometimes, when she went to work, she would see a woman jump down from the office building every day. How tall was the office building? It fell to the ground with a bang and broke into pieces, like an egg falling to the ground. Huang Shanshan couldn't take it anymore. She could only ask for leave and ran to find Chen Min. What did Chen Min do to her to let her see so many ghosts? It must be Chen Min. It must be her. Huang Shanshan ran to Ning Shu's office. Ning Shu received a call and went downstairs. He saw Huang Shanshan standing next to the flower bed, waiting. Huang Shanshan originally wanted to question Ning Shu. But when she saw his face, the anger in Huang Shanshan's heart deflated like a punctured balloon. Ning Shu walked to Huang Shanshan. She looked terrified. Her hair was dry, and there were thick black circles. She was as thin as lightning, and her cheekbones were protruding. This ghostly appearance was a living example of a drug addict. Huang Shanshan's terrified eyes met with Ning Shu's eyes. She immediately avoided them and asked weakly, "What did you do to me?" Ning Shu was baffled. "What are you trying to accuse me of? If you really like Ding Xuehai, go fight for him. You're trying to steal him away. Go treat Ding Xuehai well. Why are you doing this to me?" Huang Shanshan was questioned by Ning Shu. She was so angry that her lungs were about to explode. But she couldn't explain what she had done to Chen Min. "I won't appear in front of Ding Xuehai." "What did you do to me?" Huang Shanshan just wanted to get rid of this dark day. It was too scary. Her intuition told her that this matter had something to do with Chen Min. Ning Shu was speechless. "You're sick. Take medicine." "No, you look like you've taken too much medicine and poisoned your brain." "What did I do to you, /BK? Chapter 28-21. Huang Shanshan knelt down in front of Ning Shu. "Chen Min, I won't have any improper thoughts about Ding Xuehai right now." Ning Shu jumped away and didn't accept Huang Shanshan's kowtow. "What are you talking about? I don't understand what you're talking about. Don't disturb me." Huang Shanshan saw that she really didn't care about her. She immediately got up and grabbed Ning Shu's arm. "What do you want? What do you want me to do for you to let this go? Even if I like Ding Xuehai, and I haven't gone beyond the boundary of friends. That's because Ding Xuehai is ignoring you." Ning Shu said indifferently. Huang Shanshan choked. "But nothing happened. When are you going to take revenge on me?" Ning Shu had a crazy look on her face. "Revenge on you, my ass. I don't even know what's wrong with you and you still say that I'm taking revenge on you. Also, don't appear in front of me. I don't want you to put anything in my house." Huang Shanshan saw that the other party's expression was serious. It seemed like he really didn't know what to do. Huang Shanshan was dispirited. What should she do? She couldn't take it anymore. If this went on, she would collapse. Ning Shu ignored Huang Shanshan and went straight into the company. Huang Shanshan gathered her clothes. It was clearly the dog days of summer. Standing under the sun, she felt cold. Her body felt like it was soaked in ice water. Huang Shanshan was very scared. She didn't know what to do. Was praying to God and Buddha useful? Huang Shanshan didn't have time to find trouble with Chen Min. Every day, she would find professionals to help her get out of this situation. Huang Shanshan became a frequent visitor to the temple. She stayed in the temple when she had nothing to do. Huang Shanshan felt a little more at ease in the temple. Moreover, she wouldn't see any strange things. If she didn't see it, it would be fine. But after seeing it, she couldn't ignore it. Ning Shu was a little puzzled. Why wasn't this mission over yet? After work, Ding Xuehai was waiting for her at the entrance of the company. He was carrying a few bags of fruits and vegetables. Ding Xuehai said, "Let's go to your house to cook." Okay. It's a waste not to eat someone's feast. When they arrived at the new rental apartment, Ning Shu opened the door. The two of them walked in and saw a person sitting on the sofa. He was wearing a tuxedo, and there was a black flower in the pouch on his chest. The entire room was filled with a faint floral fragrance. With his legs crossed, the space between the sofa and the coffee table could no longer accommodate his long legs. Ding Xuehai narrowed his eyes as he looked at the pale man. His face was handsome, and no matter where he sat, he could vaguely see black butterflies surrounding him. But when he took a closer look, he realized that the black butterfly was not an illusion. In his contrast, this small rental house seemed to have become a century-old castle. Who was this? Why was he in Chen Min's house? Ning Shu was the first to react. Village chief, why are you here? Village head. His Excellency looked at Ning Shu and said, "Come here, I have something to tell you." Ning Shu was speechless. Ding Xuehai felt a little uncomfortable in front of this man. He felt as if he was particularly small in comparison. Ding Xuehai said, "I will go to the kitchen." "Okay, sorry to trouble you." Ning Shu sat on the sofa. Seeing Ding Xuehai enter the kitchen, he asked in a low voice, "Why are you here?" His Excellency took out the black flower from his pouch and handed it to Ning Shu. "A new species." "Ning Shu, can I not take it? It looks very good in your pocket." His Excellency was very suited to such a dark flower. "Didn't the report say that there was a problem with this world? I came to take a look. This kind of soul thing is my business." His Excellency glanced at Ding Xuehai, who was busy in the kitchen. "You found a man to serve you for a mission?" His Excellency raised his eyebrows. Ning Shu said in a bad mood, "What are you talking about? I am a righteous mission enforcer." "Then what is the matter with this world?" Ning Shu asked. "Part of the space tunnel has collapsed and needs to be repaired. Some souls with deep resentment and obsession are left in this world," His Excellency said as he turned the silver ring on his index finger. "Oh," Ning Shu replied. "Has it been resolved?" "It's solved. I also came to show you my new species. This species is more fragrant than the previous one." "Ning Shu, as long as you are happy. Why did you come here personally?" "For this kind of thing, it was better to find someone who could build a space tunnel." His Excellency almost rolled his eyes. "The others are all bones. Bones can't deal with these things. The system would not hesitate to throw the blame to someone who was not in the organization's jurisdiction. This time it was a soul problem, so it immediately threw the blame to him." Well, it seemed that His Excellency was also quite unhappy. But His Excellency was really like giving birth to a child. What he pooped out of was a human figure. It was really a momentary pleasure to talk, but it was tiring to save his image. He couldn't control his imagination anymore. Ding Xuehai was in the kitchen, glancing at the two people in the living room from time to time. They weren't far away, but he couldn't hear their conversation clearly. That man was the village chief. Was there such a village chief? Golden scales weren't ordinary creatures. Some of them were extraordinary creatures at first glance, and they were quite young. Why did he come to find Chen Min? Ding Xuehai was very happy. He quickly prepared a few dishes and brought them to the table. He said to the two, "The food is ready. Let's eat." Ning Shu looked at His Excellency. "Do you want to eat?" His Excellency didn't eat human food, but souls. What he pooped out of was a human figure. His Excellency smelled the fragrance of the food and showed a disgusted expression. He stood up and said politely like a gentleman, "I don't want to eat. I'm leaving." Ning Shu didn't want to let His Excellency eat at the same table. He said, "Village chief, I'll see you out." His Excellency nodded. Ning Shu saw him out. Ding Xuehai looked at the table full of dishes and sighed. Ning Shu asked, "Since the space tunnel is repaired, will these souls leave here?" His Excellency, they can leave if they want. In every plane, there are some souls who can't let go of the living world. Those who don't want to die, you don't have to care. If they want to die, they can enter the space tunnel. Ning Shu said, "Oh. See you." The abyssal prefect's figure suddenly disappeared, as if he had never been there. He came here to show off. Ning Shu returned to the house. Ding Xuehai came back with Ning Shu. "Let's eat." Ding Xuehai scooped rice for Ning Shu. Ning Shu took the bowl and ate the food Ding Xuehai made. Him. Ding Xuehai wanted to ask who that man was. Ning Shu said, "He's the village chief, but he's been the village chief for a year. He came here for some business." "Then why is he in your house?" She sat on the sofa. Ding Xuehai rubbed his forehead, looking tired. Ning Shu, God knows why he's here. If she knew His Excellency was here, she wouldn't have agreed to let Ding Xuehai come/BK. Chapter 28-22. Ning Shu was also quite annoyed by this kind of greeting. When Ding Xuehai came to his house as a guest, Ning Shu refused in his heart. If he refused, Ding Xuehai would think, "Why can't he go to your house?" Ning Shu smiled and said, "Believe it or not, if he wants to go, nothing can stop him. Don't worry about him, he won't appear in the future. There was no such person in this world." Ding Xuehai nodded and put some food in Ning Shu's bowl. "Have you thought about our future?" Ning Shu, "Not us. It's you and Chen Min." Ning Shu asked, "Am I in your future?" Ding Xuehai, "Then am I in your future?" Such a sensitive topic should be spoken by the client. In the life plan, if the client was given a place, it meant that they could still go on. No matter what the client was thinking, at this time, of course, he had to say, "You are in my future." Ding Xuehai said, "You are in my future too." Ning Shu pursed her lips. She wasn't so sure about this relationship. After eating, Ning Shu took the initiative to clean up the dishes and then began to wash the dishes. The mission was completed, and even the problem of the world's invisibility was solved, so they could leave. If it dragged on, it wouldn't be good for Ding Xuehai and Chen Min's relationship. He just didn't know if Chen Min could still be with Ding Xuehai. After all, Ding Xuehai was with Huang Shanshan. After the client went crazy, she was taken to the neurology department. The client looked like she had a mental illness. The client often said that there were ghosts, which was also a symptom of mental disorder. She was so frightened that her face was distorted, and she was so ugly that it was unbearable to look at. Just like Huang Shanshan now. If this happened to anyone, they wouldn't believe it. In the end, they couldn't stand the crazy, which was human nature. However, the client died. 2333 said, "Mission completed, do you want to leave the character world? Wait a minute. Ning Shu wiped his hands, walked into the bathroom, and sat on the toilet. Leave. It didn't matter if he went to the toilet for a while. He looked at the amulet hanging around his neck. With this amulet, ordinary ghosts wouldn't dare to come close. Also, the spatial passageway had been completed, and many souls would leave the world of living beings. Ning Shu felt his soul leave his body. When he opened his eyes again, he was already in the system space. Chen Min's soul returned to her body. There were no more ghosts in her sight. She opened the door and saw Ding Xuehai sitting on the sofa. Chen Min's expression was complicated. She was happy to see Ding Xuehai again. There were also scenes of Ding Xuehai being so tired that he broke up with her. Ding Xuehai was probably not her other half. At that time, she was so scared that she went crazy. Ding Xuehai didn't believe her, but if her boyfriend also went crazy like her, she was afraid that she wouldn't dare to get close and would hide far away. She couldn't believe that something like this would happen to her. Chen Min walked step by step towards Ding Xuehai. Ding Xuehai turned around and looked at her with a puzzled expression. Recently, Chen Min had been very unpredictable. She would change her attitude every once in a while. She was driving people crazy. What's wrong? Ding Xuehai asked. Chen Min asked, how are you and Huang Shanshan now? Ding Xuehai. His girlfriend's IQ was probably not online. Ding Xuehai let out a long breath. What do you want? Can you just say it? I'm not very good at playing hide-and-seek with you. Chen Min sighed. If you want to break up with me, I accept. Why don't we calm down and separate? What did Ding Xuehai do wrong as a boyfriend? From his point of view, he didn't do anything wrong. Ding Xuehai and Huang Shanshan had been running around for her illness. They had gone to many hospitals. Chen Min now understood that Huang Shanshan wasn't doing this for a friend, but for Ding Xuehai. Chen Min wanted to make the remaining half of her life, which might not be much longer, more exciting. She wanted to be more comfortable. Ding Xuehai was confused. He looked at Chen Min, is this what you think? Yes. Ding Xuehai just said, I respect your decision. Let's calm down. Ding Xuehai was really tired. He wasn't invincible and couldn't feel tired. Even if he broke up with Chen Min, he wouldn't be in a relationship for a while. Tired. Ding Xuehai didn't know what he could do to make her satisfied. Picking up his clothes, Ding Xuehai said to Chen Min, I'm leaving. Be careful. Close the doors and windows when you go out. Ding Xuehai left without looking back. Chen Min was silent. Seeing Ding Xuehai leave, she felt relieved but also heartbroken. Calm down, calm down, calm down. Huang Shanshan, who had been living in the temple, didn't dare to go out. Once she left the temple, she would see ghosts. She had asked the monk in the temple why she could see these things. She didn't want to see them at all. The monk didn't know if it was true or not. He just said that everything in the world was fated. Fate, fate. This was a punishment, a curse. Did she have to become a monk? If it wasn't for her strong attachment to the mortal world, she wouldn't have done something like inviting a great immortal. She wanted others to break up quickly. Other than liking Ding Xuehai, it was also because she could live a better life with Ding Xuehai. Huang Shanshan couldn't do it if she had to become a monk. She was too afraid of those things. Huang Shanshan had already been fired. She didn't come to work every day. Did she get paid for nothing? Huang Shanshan couldn't accept it. She could only hide in the temple. But she couldn't stay in the temple forever. Huang Shanshan had no choice. She needed money to eat and drink here. She could only ask if there was any work for her to do. There was work. It was either cleaning or cooking. Huang Shanshan had a strong heart, but she could only hide in this place. She couldn't accept it, but she didn't dare to step out of the temple. This kind of torment was very painful. She wanted to be a city beauty and live an elegant bourgeois life. She could sit in high-end cafes and drink coffee. She was elegant and charming. She carried a designer bag and wore elegant clothes. These things were leaving her. Her heart was being gnawed by poisonous insects. Ning Shu returned to the system space. He didn't absorb the power of the soul. Instead, he supplied the power of the soul to the world of samsara. It was a bit of a burden to rely on the reincarnation pool to support several worlds. Although his soul was weak, it was enough to do tasks and pick up trash. There couldn't be any problems in the world of samsara. After entering the world of martial arts, the world of samsara was still shrinking. Was it really starving? Ning Shu tossed a star stone to the world of nothingness. There were many star stones on the shore. These star stones were all obtained from picking up trash. The world kept shrinking. Ning Shu felt uneasy. This world was probably here to torture her. It wasn't a problem here. It was a problem there. She wanted to give up but she couldn't. /BK Chapter 28-23. The main thing was that he already had something to save his life. Ning Shu had enough time to waste with this world. One day, she would be able to solve the law of nothingness. But the speed of her growth wasn't slower than the expansion of the law of nothingness. Ning Shu felt that the law of nothingness seemed to have expanded again. He didn't know how much it would expand to in the future. He hoped that when he could solve it, it wouldn't be too big. If it was too big, she would have to spend more time to solve it. Annoying this thing. It made her world unable to give birth to living beings. It made her unable to obtain merit points. Ning Shu returned to the system space and opened his status panel to look at his gains. He hoped that Ding Shuehai wouldn't affect her completion rate. Name, Ning Shu. Age, 27. Rank, Super Mission Taker. Points card, 452 plus 15, 10 million points for 1 point card. Soul points, 40 plus 2 health points, 36 plus 2 wisdom, 42 plus 2 luck, 42 plus 2 charm, 35 plus 2 spirit, 46 plus 2 strength, 41 plus 2 aptitude, 44 plus 2 faith, 6. 13 million plus 9,000 merit, 17. 25 million plus 3,000 soul strength, 70 authorization ticket, plus 1-1 pure heart, none law comprehended, water law incarnation, wood law incarnation, space law constructed world, reincarnation world items, calm halo, heart calming pill, faith halo, protective talisman 4, upgraded protective talisman plus 2 honorary titles, goddess of war, selfless ancestor skills, 5th ring shooting technique, level close combat technique, minor achievement in peerless martial arts, level poison technique. Low-level business management knowledge, beginner code programming, beginner lawyer skill, divine master ghost catching skill, beginner cooking skill, level embroidery skill, trash hypnosis aura, mother of the world, queen's blessing, sister model worker, Chen-Shi's blessing, leader aura, grass blessing, best friend of a lifetime, Miao Miao Miao's blessing, life-saving hand, Zhu Sun Yang's blessing, founding woman, Chen Ermiai's blessing, beauty in law, Chen Ning's blessing, bane of the blood clan, Jasmine's blessing, transcendental race communication, by San Yang's blessing, brave heart, Wang Ying's blessing, bloodthirsty tyrant, Ni Bingyan's blessing, heart of peace and joy, luck halo, faith halo, and longevity. Chen Min's wish was fulfilled. Mission completion rate, 100%. Mission rewards obtained, 15 point cards, 16 attribute points, 80% of soul power, 9,000 faith power, including accumulated in previous worlds, 3,000 merit points. At the very least, the completion rate was sufficient, and there was an additional 3,000 merit points. Ning Shu was quite happy that he only received 3,000 merit points. After all, he rarely received merit points from completing quests. Picking up trash once gave him 100,000 merit points, but the joy he felt was not as great as getting 3,000 merit points. How strange. Could it be because he saved the plane? But picking up trash also lessened the burden of the plane. Ning Shu took the black bone umbrella and went to the 3 cities to repair and strengthen the enchantments. After patrolling the 3 cities, Ning Shu went to the world of reincarnation. He wanted to see if the disaster beast had been born. However, when he entered the world of reincarnation, he realized that in the world of reincarnation, which was even more vast than the 9-Palace Mountain, there were black flowers growing out of the black sand. Moreover, there was a faint luster of water ripples. Ning Shu was overjoyed. He hurriedly ran over with the umbrella, his long skirt brushing against the sand. When he ran in to take a look, there was indeed a rebirth pool. This rebirth pool was not big. It could be said that it was very small. It was so small that it was only the size of a palm. There was very little water inside. It could be said that it was just a prototype. There was a world of reincarnation in the 9-Palace Mountain, and there was a rebirth pool outside. This way, the 9-Palace Mountain and the world of reincarnation could be connected. There was no need for the Thunder Qilin to guard it. However, this rebirth pool was too small. It was still developing like a baby. It was not time to use it yet. Although the peerless martial art was shrinking, the rebirth pool was born in the world of reincarnation. In essence, this rebirth pool was her world of reincarnation. The world of reincarnation derived from the first layer of the 9-Palace Mountain was not considered Ning Shu's. Ning Shu was overjoyed. He squatted down and looked at the palm-sized rebirth pool. He wanted to make a fence around the rebirth pool to prevent anything from destroying it. Calm down, calm down. Ning Shu suppressed the joy in his heart. The rebirth pool was born in his world of reincarnation. Perhaps it could be connected to other worlds of living beings. He could already see a large amount of money waving at him. After all, providing a place for living beings to reincarnate should give him some merit. Ning Shu was in high spirits. He was about to enter the 9-Palace Mountain when he realized that the Thunder Qilin was no longer blocking the entrance with its fat butt. Ning Shu went in through the entrance. The moment he entered, he realized that the Thunder Qilin was emitting an aura of despair. Ning Shu thought for a bit and understood why the Thunder Qilin was in such a state. It was because the purpose of the Thunder Qilin's existence was to guard this cave. This cave was connected to the world of reincarnation outside and the first layer of the 9-Palace Mountain. However, the world of reincarnation outside did not have the conditions for souls to be created. The Thunder Qilin had to block the entrance and not let the souls inside out. Now that the rebirth pool was born outside, the 2 worlds could be connected. The Thunder Qilin no longer had a mission. Things that were worthless would probably be destroyed. No wonder it did not block her with its butt today. Ning Shu wanted to pat its fat butt to comfort it. However, its body was flickering with lightning. Ning Shu retracted his hand. The Thunder Qilin lay on the ground and looked at Ning Shu weakly. Its flickering lightning eyes were filled with grievance. It looked at Ning Shu with a hopeless expression. It was a gaze from the depths of its soul. Ning Shu said, "Don't worry. Even if the 2 worlds are connected, you still need to guard hell." Its entire body was covered in lightning. It was also a deterrent to souls. If it did nothing, it could be placed there as a mascot to make souls obedient. Only when the Thunder Qilin heard Ning Shu's words did it regain some spirit. It used its butt to block the entrance of the cave again. Ning Shu was speechless. The rebirth pool outside is still very weak. Watch carefully. Don't let the souls escape. The rebirth pool was like a newborn baby. A little accident could cause it to die prematurely. If something really happened, it was unknown if the rebirth pool would still be born. The Thunder Qilin let out a low roar. The lightning around its body crackled. Ning Shu held the umbrella and took a few steps back. Then, he walked towards the rebirth pool. The skeletons gathered together to gamble again. Li Si squatted alone beside the rebirth pool. Ning Shu walked over and asked Li Si, "What did you learn from Senior?" Li Si scratched the top of his head. "I'm a little stupid. I learned a little. Take your time. There's no hurry. Such a bone could not be broken too quickly." Ning Shu did not expect Li Si to be able to kill the disaster beast in one go, /BK. Chapter 28-24. Due to the birth of a new rebirth pool, Ning Shu was in a good mood, everything was pleasing to her eyes. Moreover, to nurture a skeleton that could fight, she needed some time and money. Li Si was still an apprentice, he could help occasionally, but it was impossible for him to face the disaster beast alone. However, she had to let Li Si join as soon as possible because another rebirth pool was born. She also had to raise the issue of creating skeletons. The newly born skeletons couldn't be used in battle right away. They had to be fed merit so that the disaster beast couldn't corrupt these skeletons. Ning Shu felt a headache coming on, she didn't know how to create skeletons at all. Should she ask the silver-haired man? Since he opened the consultation room, he should know everything. Then take a good look. Ning Shu said. Li Si wanted to say something but stopped. Ning Shu looked at him and asked, "What is it? Just say it." "Young master," Ning Shu sighed, "I really don't know where your young master is. There are so many living beings, how would I know where your young master is? Your relationship with your young master is gone, your fate is over. You have to wait, if you can't wait, don't be too sad." Ning Shu wasn't angry. Although she wanted to put Li Si under her, Ning Shu didn't care about who he missed, as long as she did things well. Moreover, who knew what kind of ant Pai Lupi became in the past? The main reason was that Pai Lupi absorbed too many soul stones, so there were too many impurities in his soul. When he jumped into the rebirth pool, a lot of his soul power would be sucked out. Maybe Li Si didn't know that he had seen his young master reincarnate over and over again, jumping into the rebirth pool under his nose time and time again. Li Si sighed, he had a feeling that he wouldn't be able to wait for young master, but he couldn't bear to give up like this. Anyways, he was always here, so there was no harm in waiting. He would also destroy the disaster beast. If he knew this would happen, he wouldn't have let young master go to the afterlife. If he was alive, there would definitely be a chance. After jumping into the reincarnation pool, he forgot all about his past and became a new person. Ning Shu held up the umbrella and said to the skeletons, "Please keep an eye on this place." The skeleton chuckled, "Beauty, this is a small matter, but you have to give us some power of faith." Ning Shu didn't hesitate and directly gave her faith power. She had obtained this faith power from the third layer of the world. The strands of faith power were about the size of a strand of hair. They were very long, about 2 meters long. When rolled into a circle, they weren't small. Eliminating these calamity beasts required the power of faith. Ning Shu suddenly realized something. Not only did the organization have to provide for so many skeletons, but it also required a lot of virtue and faith energy. TSK. Since the army was a skeleton army, it was normal for the organization to be so poor. Ning Shu felt that he should also be more frugal. In the future, he would also be raising skeletons. Oh wow, such pure faith power, one strand is enough. A skeleton received the faith power. Pure faith power was definitely the power of a person's soul. Especially the faith power of a child, it was purer than an adult's. And this kind of faith power was usually more powerful. Since it was related to his world, Ning Shu couldn't help but say a few more words. The skeleton chuckled and said, "Beauty, don't worry. I will definitely help you get things done. Don't worry." Ning Shu also knew that if he continued to talk, it would be annoying. He was questioning other people's professional ability. Thus, he stopped talking. He had to have his own skeleton as soon as possible. If his own skeleton wanted to scold him, it wouldn't be so polite. Ning Shu was about to go out when he saw He Qing carrying a few black fruits over. "This is for you." He Qing handed a few fruits that emitted a delicate fragrance but didn't look good to Ning Shu. "No need to give it to me. I don't eat this. See this umbrella I'm holding? It's used to block the dust." Although this kind of fruit had a bit of soul power, it wasn't pure at all. Speaking of which, there was a tree that contained soul power in this world. He didn't know if it was still there now. He Qing saw that Ning Shu refused her fruits and her expression was a little sad. "I didn't give you these things to make you accept me immediately." Ning Shu smiled leisurely. "Then why did you give me these fruits?" "I already said that your soul is not qualified. We'll talk about it when you pass. If your soul is qualified, there are still many conditions that need to be met. First of all, your soul is not qualified. You don't even pass the first condition. You should keep these fruits for yourself. Wait until your soul is stronger." He Qing retracted her hand and looked at Ning Shu. "Is there no other way? Is there no special enrollment?" Ning Shu shook his head. "There really isn't any special enrollment. First of all, if your soul isn't qualified, then the special enrollment also has to pass the soul. Actually, you can go back to life and live a different life." He Qing shook her head. "Thank you. Let me think about it." Ning Shu didn't want to say anything more to her. If she didn't pass, then she didn't pass. However, she clearly didn't want to go back to life. Since she didn't want to go back to life, then she could just stay in the world of reincarnation. There were many souls in the world of reincarnation that didn't go back to life. Especially those powerful souls. The Soul Clan wouldn't go back to life easily. They viewed the rebirth pool as a scourge. He Qing turned and left. Ning Shu held the umbrella in one hand and lifted his skirt with the other. He left the 9 Palace Mountain and squatted beside the flowers, looking at the small world of reincarnation. If he had extra soul energy, how good would it be to feed it to the world? However, other than the soul energy used to complete missions, he didn't have any extra. Now that the main system didn't purify it, Ning Shu was stretched thin. He didn't know how much energy was needed to form the rebirth pool in the world of reincarnation. He would go back and ask His Excellency what she needed to do to form the rebirth pool in the world. Strictly speaking, this was the real natural rebirth pool. It was much more precious than a man-made one. Now that the rebirth pool was formed, no matter how many worlds were formed in the future, they would all be worlds of reincarnation. Developing the world of reincarnation was already confirmed to be soybeans. The bean sprouts would not become green beans or black beans. This was a world that was worth being happy about. Thinking about how many worlds of reincarnation would be formed in the future, Ning Shu really wanted to cry out. He hoped that nothing bad would happen. If the seed was spoiled, how could it grow into a towering tree? Back in the system space, Ning Shu contacted His Excellency immediately. However, His Excellency ignored him. Ning Shu could only grit his teeth and praise His Excellency's new breed of flower. It was especially beautiful and fragrant. Although he didn't know what kind of corpse it grew from, in order to talk to His Excellency, Ning Shu could hypnotize himself that the flower was really good and really fragrant. Ning Shu felt that His Excellency looked cold and gentlemanly on the outside, but he was very coquettish on the inside. It was the flowers he grew that itched. /BK Chapter 28-25 Ning Shu gritted his teeth and praised the flower of the Abyssal Prefect. This time, he really paid attention to her. Most likely, the Abyssal Prefect would ignore the news as soon as he saw it. Jacquard was definitely right. Ning Shu asked her what she needed to do when a new reincarnation pool was born. Abyssal Prefect Qin Yi immediately responded, "There's no need." Ning Shu rubbed his face. "We have to do something. Take care of it. Do you need some soul force?" Speaking of soul energy, she didn't even have a tiny bit. Abyssal Prefect, if that's the case, what else are you going to do? You're so nervous. It's like you're pregnant. Ning Shu was speechless. It was as important as pregnancy. It was related to a world of samsara. There were hundreds of millions of world of samsara of His Excellency. It was not a big deal to have more sons, but she only had one. Of course he was anxious and worried, fearing that something had happened to his world. Wasn't that just asking for his life? Abyssal Prefect, don't worry about that. You won't be able to do anything even if something happens. Ning Shu, please stop. Don't jinx it. However, the Abyssal Prefect still gave a definite answer. Since it was born, there was an 80% chance that it would succeed. This meant that the world already had the conditions to create the pool of rebirth. Generally, it would not fail. Only then did Ning Shu relax a little. He then asked how long it would take for the pool of rebirth to mature. Abyssal Prefect, time is of the essence. Alright, Ning Shu calmed down. After all, this was a good start. Ning Shu touched his chin, and the fire of gossip was burning in his heart. He whispered to His Excellency, "What does my system have to do with senior uncle?" Ning Shu could almost guess that 2333 was the Prime Minister. However, 2333 said that he couldn't live anymore and wanted to drag the Grand Elder down with him. Suddenly, she remembered those passionate years. The Abyssal Prefect asked, "Have you decided to jump into the law of nothingness?" Ning Shu was speechless. What was this again? 2333 jumping into the law of nothingness. Why would he still be alive after jumping? He felt as if he had asked something incredible. This, I'm not sure. Zheng Qing, try to persuade him. Ning Shu was speechless. Jumping into the law of nothingness would most likely result in death. Wasn't this the same as persuading people to die? He clearly knew that it was a cliff, yet he was persuading people to jump down. Ning Shu didn't know that the word persuade could be used in such a way. He had never heard of someone persuading someone to die. Ning Shu gulped nervously. He looked around nervously as if he saw 2333 looking at him from the side. How awkward would it be if they were caught gossiping? However, the fire of gossip in Ning Shu's heart had already ignited and could not be extinguished. He asked, "How can I persuade him?" "I don't know anything." "How can I persuade him?" Just as she was about to rush over to persuade him, she was slapped across the face. The Abyssal Prefect asked, "What do you want to know?" Ning Shu thumped his chest and roared in his heart. "I don't know anything, so I don't know what I want to know." Seeing that the Abyssal Prefect seemed to want to chat with him, he said, "I don't know anything." His Excellency only replied after a while, "The laws and laws in Minister Zheng's body are the crux to the birth of a new law. See." Ning Shu was speechless. So, the mischievous retard actually had such a big mission. Ning Shu felt that the amount of information was too much. 2333 was silently looking at her. The Abyssal Prefect said, "So, tell him to jump quickly." The Abyssal Prefect's tone was very light. He was telling someone to die so easily. Ning Shu suddenly felt that this topic was a bit heavy. He jumped and died. It's the law of nothingness that fused into one. Maybe he will be reborn. The Abyssal Prefect replied. So perfunctory. Maybe. Ning Shu felt that 2333 wanted her to jump into the law of nothingness because he wanted to take revenge. She knew that she would die. Maybe 2333 was very strong, but she would definitely die if she jumped. Ning Shu felt that there were many things that didn't make sense. There are so many of you, but you can't force one person. Senior uncle, abyssal prefect, these people were very strong. Could it be that they couldn't deal with 2333? Ning Shu felt like she had lice on her head. She kept scratching her head and became bald. Ning Shu asked, "Can I know the whole story from the beginning?" She never knew that the playful retard was so powerful. Why did such a powerful person become her system? 2333, why ask him? Ask me, the person involved. Isn't it better to ask me? Sure enough, she was caught red-handed. Ning Shu said shamelessly, "Oh, then let me hear about your glorious past." 2333, I was born at the same time as senior uncle. When the Law C was born, two consciousnesses were born. Ning Shu, she had tried her best to imagine the identities of these two people, but she didn't expect them to be brothers. How exciting. Brothers falling out. Ning Shu waited solemnly. She sat up straight, anticipating that a large pot of melodramatic blood was about to come. Ning Shu perked up her ears and listened. Senior uncle and I both have law crystallization in our bodies. Nothing can escape the passage of time. The law is gradually aging and gradually losing its vitality. I said, give up these planes that can't be destroyed. These planes accelerate the decline of the Law C. Otherwise, both of us would die. But he didn't give up these broken planes. He knew that the Law C couldn't hold on anymore, but he didn't give up. He found the law of nothingness and pressed me into it. It swallowed me, gave birth to a new Law C, and led the old Law C away. For the ants of those planes, who cares if those ants are dead or alive? They can't even care about themselves, let alone those broken planes. For those broken planes, I pressed myself into the law of nothingness and let the law of nothingness swallow me. Do you know that kind of pain? Ning Shu, I don't know. I jumped once, but it didn't jump out for half a second. As for the pain of the law of nothingness swallowing me, I really didn't feel much. Fuck the ants, fuck the planes. I actually want to die for these weak ants who don't work hard to survive. Weak and despicable ants, surviving will only consume the planes and the Law C. Are you willing to pay with your life for the thousands of ants in the nest? Ning Shu, this proposition was indeed fatal. Ning Shu asked, then how did you become a system? 2333 chuckled with a hint of mockery. After suffering for hundreds of millions of years, when I was about to refine the law of nothingness, he pulled me out again. I became a system. Maybe it's an insult to senior uncle, but one thing is certain. He's wearing down my will. If you die, he can immediately change me to a new host. If the mission enforcer dies again, he'll change again. It's endless. If my will is too strong, the law of nothingness will consume a lot of things. If you die, he'll change to a weaker one. Ning Shu, this was a little awkward. The reason 2333 became his partner was because he was very weak, /BK. Chapter 28-26. She was just trying to wear down 2333's ladder of willpower. It seemed like many people were watching her die, including 2333. She had already made plans to change her collaborators. Ning Shu clicked his tongue. He knows that I hate these ants and these planes, but now he wants to protect these planes. He's provoking me and humiliating me. When one mission enforcer died, there would be many more, making him experience all kinds of mission enforcers over and over again, wearing down his willpower. Hearing such a melodramatic story, Ning Shu's heart was unexpectedly calm. There was no fluctuation in her heart, and she even wanted to laugh a little. No matter who 2333 was, he would do what he was supposed to do, sooner or later they would part ways. Now Ning Shu was even more certain that 2333 would part ways sooner or later. It didn't matter if it was sooner or later. Ning Shu once again felt that the day when they would part ways was not far away. Before that, she had to bear the price of leaving 2333. Ning Shu knew 2333's secret, but she was not happy at all. This was not something to be happy about. Unhappy, go eat. Although Ning Shu was unhappy, she also used this organization to straighten up. Weak. Anyway, she had now come over. Ning Shu suddenly felt a little better and asked, "Which generation of you am I?" Which generation? This was really 2333, I can't count. Ning Shu made an "oh" sound. No wonder 2333's skill of acting dumb was superb. 2333, I killed too many mission enforcers before, a little bored. Ning Shu was speechless. Damn, 2333 was much more brutal than she thought. She was still alive now, probably because he was bored and did not want to move. She recited a passage to 2333's previous partner. She just happened to be at the time when she was bored and tired of killing mission enforcers. After killing one, another came, so she might as well keep her alive. Ning Shu snorted coldly and couldn't help but grin. Before, she felt that her luck was not very good. After all this time, her luck was used up in this aspect. Being alive was already the greatest fortune of all. Ning Shu exhaled and closed the chat system. He planned to go to Wood City to eat something, but he was not in a good mood. Initially, he had the mentality of listening to gossip, but in the end, he was the one who got to eat the melon. This feeling was really too fucking awesome. Ning Shu could not help but wipe the cold sweat off his forehead as he thought about the journey he had taken. She had someone by her side who could kill her at any time. If they were not pleasing to the eye, they would kill them. It's better to speak less. Ning Shu suddenly asked, "Why didn't you kill me?" "If I kill you, Grand Uncle will implant me into another mission enforcer system space. Every time I see him, he's full of mockery and malice, and he'll once again give me to another mission enforcer." Ning Shu clicked his tongue. "You're so wronged. You're really wronged." He really felt sorry for the previous mission takers. These two people were indeed from the same lake. They were essentially the same. No wonder he was able to go to the Sea of Law back then, and let her bring the broken space to the Sea of Law. "You went to the Sea of Law to absorb energy, right?" Ning Shu asked 2333. 2333 was silent for a moment. "Yes." Ning Shu completely relaxed and said, "Thank you for saving me." No matter what, at least he survived that time with 2333's help. 2333, too lazy to change mission enforcers, annoying. Ning Shu was ready to go to Wood City when the chat system rang. Ning Shu saw that it was volunteer work. Now that he was not in a good mood, he went to eat first. The food in Wood City was very refreshing. This time, Ning Shu did not prepare a big plate, but the portion was more than enough. After stuffing herself with food and drinks, Ning Shu felt much better. No matter what, she was still alive. Being controlled by the organization now did not mean that he would be controlled by the organization in the future. Work hard. Ning Shu's heart was cold, so cold that his teeth could not help but chatter. He was already a soul and was not afraid of cold or heat, but now his body could not help but tremble. It was not easy. Ning Shu was now glad that he worked hard to live and did not let himself die. Otherwise, he would have disappeared by now. It was not easy, it was not easy. He wanted to cry hysterically. After eating and paying the bill, Ning Shu went to the space city. Volunteer work and so on, as long as he could, he had to delay it. He had to do it. Without absolute strength, he would not show up. When he arrived at the space city, Ning Shu continued to comprehend the space law, expanding his sea of consciousness, and stimulating the spirit ball. Every time he stimulated the spirit ball, he felt pain and a splitting headache, as if someone was holding a chisel to chisel his head open. It was very painful. His soul was especially painful. However, Ning Shu gritted his teeth and endured it, expanding his sea of consciousness while strengthening his spiritual power. Without strong experience, he could not build a space passage and could not control the vines. Picking up trash was not that easy. Quickly pick up the trash, the rest of the time was up to him. Ning Shu was the same as in the City of Ice, his teeth kept chattering. Anyway, he felt cold, very cold. A chill emerged from the depths of his soul, making him shiver uncontrollably. Knowing these things, to him, once again, he felt the coldness of the organization. Here, ants could not survive. If you were weak, you did not have the power to control your own fate. Life and death were in the hands of others. With such a mischievous act, he had dug his own grave. Ning Shu also felt quite subtle. Whatever, first expand his sea of consciousness. It was so difficult in the past. There was someone sharpening his knife beside him. When he was unhappy, he could end her system with a knife. Now, there was no reason why he could not survive. Ignorance was bliss. It was fine if he did not know before, but now that he knew, he could not help but want to shake his legs. Now, as long as he did not do anything particularly out of line, no one could do anything to him. There was one more thing. Were the souls of those mission enforcers killed by 2333 taken away by 2333? Hee, this witty retard. Ning Shu understood the laws of space, and the distance to build a space passage was much longer. However, it was still not enough to travel between planes. In short, there was still a long way to go. To build a long space passage, he still needed a lot of effort. Take it slow, there was no rush. Ning Shu's heart was unexpectedly calm. This way, he could understand slightly faster. Haste makes waste. Now that he could expand his spiritual power, there was nothing to be dissatisfied with. It was just that Ning Shu was a little better. Why did 2333 lay his cards on the table now? To be honest, after knowing this, Ning Shu did not want to do the mission system at all. He felt like he was in a mess. So, 2333 was now actually fearless. After expanding his sea of consciousness a little, Ning Shu stimulated the spiritual ball again. After a long period of pain, he felt that the spiritual ball was a little stronger. Ning Shu returned to the space system, ready to do volunteer work. After he was done, he could do whatever he wanted. /BK Chapter 28-27. However, her current mental strength was not enough to build such a long channel. Therefore, she still needed to find someone. The grand uncle had blocked her, so she could not contact him. Besides, she was too lazy to contact him. Ning Shu contacted Fragrant Wind and asked him to help build a channel. Fragrant Wind originally wanted to bargain, but when Ning Shu heard this, she immediately decided not to go. She didn't volunteer because she couldn't build a spatial tunnel. She was not qualified to pick up trash, so it was not her fault that she could not go. Fragrant Wind did not expect her to go offline without saying a word. He could not help but be speechless. He wanted her reward, but he probably could not get it now. Fragrant Wind had no choice but to build a channel. Ning Shu saw the channel and could not help but want to roll her eyes. Therefore, it was better to be more unreasonable. Anyway, it did not decrease this time. Next time, she could pick up more to complete the mission. She could accumulate as much as she wanted. Anyway, there was no need to worry about debt. Ning Shu held the black bone umbrella and arrived at the place where the plane was broken. Fragrant Wind looked at Ning Shu. I helped you build a space channel. Shouldn't you express your gratitude? Thank you. Fragrant Wind said, verbal gratitude is not satisfying at all. Practical actions are needed. Ning Shu nodded to Fragrant Wind. Thank you. When Tan Lang saw Ning Shu, his eyes lit up and he ran over with the bag. Ning Shu was speechless. Why was he still picking up trash? You're here to pick up trash. Have you thought about what I said? Join our great organization. Ning Shu was speechless. Suddenly, he had a feeling of wanting to join, but his life was more important. So what if he overthrew it? It was meaningless. It was better to be strong and not be under the control of the organization. Ning Shu did not speak, but Tan Lang chattered on. Ning Shu was in a bad mood and could not be bothered with him. He automatically blocked his brainwashing. He dripped the milky white liquid into the wood law and stretched out his vines to pick up the trash. Ning Shu sat and controlled the vines to pick up the trash. The vines retracted and the fragments fell into the trash bag. In any case, he had strengthened his spiritual power a little, so he could hold on for a while longer. However, he had to continuously supply the law of wood with energy. Otherwise, he would not be able to pick up the shards. While controlling the vines, Ning Shu glanced at the Grand Elder. He was brothers with 2333. He would not hesitate to kill his brothers, let alone a mere quest enforcer. Ning Shu grinned and looked at the pile of star stones beside him. There was no temptation at all. Now that he had enough star stones, there was no need to rush. Besides, he was too lazy to get close to him. Ning Shu also knew that he was shameless. If there was nothing wrong with the world, who would be willing to put their pride on the ground and step on it? If not for the sake of survival, why would he endure it? Just like ordinary people, they were earning a meager salary and being scolded like dogs, all for the sake of survival. Because of Ning Shu, the tentacle monster, the speed of picking up trash was much faster. When it was time to fuse with the plane, he would pick up some leftover star stones. Since he was already here, he had to get some star stones. Do you want star stones? I have this thing, but it's useless, Greedy Wolf said to Ning Shu. Ning Shu looked at him. Don't try to motivate me. I'm a little stupid and can't be a perfect little brother, so don't look for me. Greedy Wolf smiled. His originally handsome face was now a little wretched. Ning Shu couldn't bear to look at it. Ning Shu took out the bottle and collected his own source of life. Every time he was about to use it, he might not have so much. He couldn't produce so much at once, so he had to accumulate it. And he had to use it sparingly. He didn't know if it would do any harm to his good body. He was afraid of overdrawing his soul. Greedy Wolf was annoyed when he saw that the other party was indifferent after he said so much. But the more the other party didn't agree, the more he wanted to pester him. He first set a small goal and said that he would poach him first. With a specific goal, Greedy Wolf was full of motivation. He looked at Ning Shu like a laser. Ning Shu just rolled his eyes. He wanted to persuade her with just his mouth and then be his cannon fodder. He was thinking too much. If she was still weak and had just entered the organization, she might have really compromised. After all, he was poor at that time and didn't have anything. He rushed to the next broken place. Ning Shu was still sitting there without moving. He controlled the vines like a tentacle monster. The other big shots couldn't help but envy this method of picking up trash. The wood law wasn't precious. The precious life law was. Without it, the vines of the wood law were useless. Come, this is my newly developed stimulant. Try it, try it. 150,000 merit points for a bottle. Uncle suddenly appeared and then set up a stall and shouted. Adrenaline. Was it really good to say that? Don't buy his things. He's really evil, Greedy Wolf said in disdain. Ning Shu suddenly remembered that Greedy Wolf said that Uncle was in a relationship with the doll he made. The problem was, where was the doll? Since it was a relationship, why didn't Uncle bring the doll out? Uncle's shouting attracted the attention of many people. Some people went over. Uncle took out a porcelain bottle and introduced, "This is something I newly developed. It can effectively relieve the fatigue of the soul. One bottle can refresh the mind, 2 bottles can prevent fatigue, and 3 bottles can make you immortal. After drinking it, your waist and kidneys will be good. Ning Shu was speechless. Damn, it was like an advertisement for aphrodisiac. Ning Shu felt that Uncle's gentle and elegant image had completely collapsed. He had completely turned into a hawker. Ning Shu also squeezed over. He opened the bottle and smelled it. A refreshing feeling hit him in the face. When he smelled it, he felt like his soul was a few pounds lighter. Ning Shu didn't know what the ingredients were, but he felt that it was very familiar. It was the smell of life. Uncle was buying life to make aphrodisiac. Someone asked about the price. Uncle smiled gently and said, 150,000 merit points per bottle. The ingredients inside are very hard to find and there are no impurities at all. Once it is purified, drinking it won't affect the soul at all. Brother, do you want this? Ning Shu almost wanted to roll his eyes. 150,000 merit points per bottle, so little. This was robbery. Anyway, Ning Shu wouldn't buy it. Even if he was tired, he would have a pure life source. There was no need to drink this. However, the price was really expensive, but it was very little. All kinds of things that were good for the soul were added in. Ning Shu felt that it was expensive, but there were still people who bought it. These big shots didn't even blink when buying things. Picking up trash was only 100,000 merit points. In the end, they bought a bottle of liquid that cost 150,000 merit points. They had to pay 50,000 merit points. Rich people were really willful. Many big shots bought a bottle and drank it. Some felt that it was good and even bought a few bottles, /BK. Chapter 28. Ning Shu didn't buy it. He had to save money to support Skeleton in the future. With so many wild men to support, he could only tighten his belt. Ning Shu didn't buy it. Tan Lang didn't buy it either. He must be shy and had no money. Ning Shu asked, "Why don't you buy it?" Tan Lang sneered. "I'm not buying it. Who knows what kind of reaction it will have after drinking it? Who knows if there's poison in it? Who knows if there's any poison in it that can control people?" Ning Shu was speechless. He wasn't poor, but he was paranoid. Ning Shu ignored him and stretched out his vines to pick up the trash. Tan Lang was still chattering at the side. Uncle Chong was satisfied. This was just an experiment. The acceptance rate was very high. Next time, raise it to 200,000. Uncle Chong handed the remaining 2 bottles to Senior Uncle. This is the latest development. It can relieve soul fatigue. Try it. Senior Uncle Chong took off his gloves and put on a new pair. He sniffed it. "Did you not clean it?" "It's clean. It's absolutely clean," Uncle Chong said with a smile. Senior Uncle Chong tasted it and gave up. "It tastes bad. It has to be pure and flavorful. Why are you so difficult?" Uncle Chong shook his head and said. When he saw Ning Shu, he smiled and walked over to Ning Shu. When Tan Lang saw Uncle Chong coming over, especially the smile on his face, his hair stood on end. He took the bag and left. Ning Shu was speechless. Damn it. Every time he met someone who slipped away, even if he wanted to recruit them, he should at least show the determination to live and die together. Even if it was just pretending, he was speechless. Poor and cowardly. Ning Shu finally knew why so many people in the organization were looking at him as a joke. He still wanted to overthrow the organization. What a joke. Ning Shu cursed in his heart. He looked at Uncle Chong standing in front of him and asked, "Why are you looking for me?" "Nothing. I'm just here to see you," Uncle Chong said gently. Ning Shu's mind replayed the words, 1 bottle to refresh the mind, 2 bottles to never tire, 3 bottles to make you immortal, and your waist and kidneys better. He couldn't bear to look at her. It's so easy for you to pick up trash like this. That's good, that's good. Have you bought any stimulants? Uncle Zhang asked with a smile. Ning Shu shook his head. No, I can't afford it. I'm poor. Do you want me to give you a bottle so you can have a taste? Uncle Zhang said. I used your life force to make it. You should at least have a taste. Ning Shu stretched out her hand, and her uncle placed a small bottle of liquid in her hand. Ning Shu opened the bottle cap and drank the water in one gulp. As a result, the water kept bubbling in his mouth as if he was drinking cola. Ning Shu almost thought that he was drinking sulfuric acid, which was why the water kept bubbling. However, drinking it was like drinking iced cola. A cool feeling flowed through his soul. This feeling was quite refreshing. It was like drinking iced water during the hottest days of the year. His heart was soaring. My mouth is numb. It doesn't taste good, Ning Shu said directly. Uncle Zhang narrowed his eyes and said, I added something to your bottle. From now on, you are under my control. Your bottle is bubbling, and the rest are all peach-flavored. Ning Shu was speechless. I'm just kidding. Do you really believe me? I do business with integrity. You get what you pay for. I've always followed the rules. The customer's experience is our best reward. Ning Shu was speechless. Wasn't merit the best reward? Only capital could promote development, okay? Uncle Zhang's words were really teasing him. Do you have any extra life force? I'll buy it, Uncle Zhang asked. Not at the moment. Now that he didn't have any, he had to save on picking up trash. When he really ran out of money, he would sell his blood. Okay, when you have more, remember to inform me. I'll buy as much as you have. The more, the better. He spoke like a tycoon. Ning Shu smiled. Okay. Uncle Zhang came and then left. Ning Shu complained. Why didn't Uncle Zhang do volunteer activities? Why didn't he pick up trash? There were still 10 bags to pick up. Ning Shu sped up. He picked up earlier and did his own thing. Even if he didn't do anything, he squatted beside the small afterlife pool and looked at it happily. Come here. Uncle Ning Shu waved his hand. Ning Shu walked over and asked, What's the matter? You can pick up 2 pieces, Uncle Zhang said. Ning Shu didn't stand on ceremony. He picked up 2 pieces and 2 more. After picking up a total of 6 pieces, he stopped. Ning Shu hesitated and asked, My system is your brother. Uncle Zhang narrowed his eyes, and his glasses reflected a cold luster. Oh, what's the matter? Nothing, I'm just asking. You knew that he would kill the mission enforcers, but you still gave him to them. Oh, so? Uncle Zhang asked. I'm surprised that he didn't kill you. Ning Shu was speechless. Those mission enforcers, why should I care about those mission enforcers? Just say what you want to say, Uncle Zhang said coldly. Ning Shu's teeth began to chatter again. You were the one who threw 2,333 to me. So, you're lucky to be alive, and you're unlucky to be dead. Ning Shu was speechless. Ning Shu picked up 2 more star stones and went to the side to pick up the trash. He cursed in his heart. Brothers were quarreling, and the unlucky ones were the cannon fodder. Go ahead and kill them. After killing one, there will be another one. You can do whatever you want as long as you're not afraid of trouble. She was lucky and unlucky. She was lucky that she didn't die in 2333's hands, but she was unlucky that she was tied to 2333. Ning Shu suddenly realized one thing. When Uncle Zhang and 2333 came into contact, they would fight when the mission enforcers died. At this time, the Grand Elder threw 2333 to the other mission enforcers. When 2333 wanted to resist, it was also at this time. Then, Ning Shu felt cold all over. Things were more serious than she thought. She wanted to protect herself and not be obliterated, but in the end, she didn't expect the biggest threat to come to her. Uncle Zhang had concerns and had to consider the interests of the organization, but 2333 didn't have any. When he wanted to leave, he would definitely kill her. He had killed so many mission enforcers, so killing her wouldn't make a difference. Ning Shu held her chin and didn't let her teeth chatter. Why did 2333 tell her directly? Was it because he didn't have any scruples and wanted to show his true colors? Or was it because he was angry at her for asking about him? How trustworthy was this? Ning Shu thought it was at least 80%. What are you doing? Fragrant Wind was entangled by the vines. He looked at Ning Shu and didn't try to break free from the vines. Ning Shu came back to her senses and let go of the vines. Fragrant Wind frowned and asked, "What are you doing? Don't you know the difference between a human and a piece of trash?" I was distracted and didn't pay attention. Ning Shu looked at Fragrant Wind. She didn't know if Fragrant Wind knew the inside story of this matter. This matter should have been carried out in secret, and wouldn't have been publicized. Ning Shu felt that not many people knew about this matter, /BK. Chapter 28-29. Ning Shu glanced at Fragrant Wind. Fragrant Wind looked at Ning Shu and asked, "Did you do something out of line? Don't be afraid. Tell me, I'll report you." Ning Shu was speechless. Ning Shu asked blankly, "Why do you think we're working so hard to do these things?" Not only did they have to take care of these planes, but they also had to protect these planes. When the enemy attacked, countless people died. And the people in the planes were ignorant. They never knew what kind of pain and sacrifice some people were going through. Fragrant Wind said, "It's a habit. It's to become stronger. What else can there be?" Ning Shu couldn't help but ask, "Do you care about the creatures in the plains?" Fragrant Wind looked at him strangely. "Why should I care? Would you care about the life and death of an ant? You wouldn't care about tens of thousands of them." In the past, when there were no mission enforcers, the planes collapsed very badly. The organization couldn't find the reason. They didn't know why the planes collapsed so easily. They were the strongest things, but they collapsed just like that. Later, they discovered that the life trajectories and encounters of the creatures in the planes had a huge impact on the planes. Then, they slowly figured it out. The organization split into mission enforcers. The mission enforcers and the system, who controlled the production system space, were born as a team of two. It's a little better now. At that time, it was really fucking hard. Fragrant Wind wiped away his bitter tears. Everyone did so many things that they could crush people. Fortunately, it slowly developed to the current scale. There are too many people and too many thoughts. It's not easy to discipline them. Anyway, there are plenty of creatures. Just kill them. If it weren't for the resentment, hatred, emotions, and desires of the creatures in the planes affecting the planes, who would care about the life and death of the creatures in the planes? It's a natural law to live and die. I'm especially annoyed by these creatures. It's good that they have a place to live, but they're still fucking creating things. In the end, they're the ones who destroy themselves. Ning Shu said. Those creatures don't know. They only know that they can't be at peace. They can't even control themselves, let alone whether the world will be destroyed or not. To the extreme, it was normal to drag everyone down with them. Like 2333 in Taishu, who was wrong. Who cares? She didn't care whether these two were dead or alive. If they came to kill her, then she would have to risk her life to protect herself. Ning Shu was worried that when 2333 escaped, she would die. Fragrant Wind frowned and said, "Can you pick it up quickly? Are you sad? Are all the people in the organization ants to the common people? Fragrant Wind Man, are you crazy? I've worked hard to cultivate and become strong, but you want me to be polite to an ant-like creature who's so weak that I don't even cultivate? Only those with value have the right to be noticed by me. Why should I care if you're not qualified? I care about you and bicker with you because you're qualified now. If you were a weak mission enforcer, why would I care about you? I'd feel no psychological burden from stepping on an ant. It's not a reason that you're weak. It's because you don't work hard. You want me to respect you. Is there something wrong with your head? Fragrant Wind Man seemed to be disgusted with Ning Shu. There's something wrong with your head. Don't talk to me. Ning Shu's face darkened. You're the one with a problem. I'm just asking. Anyway, you're all ants. At my level, what's the difference between humans and ants? It's no different from heaven and earth treating all living things as dogs. You're petty. When a person is looking at a specific person or thing, they can't look at the big picture. Ning Shu sighed. More than one person had said that she was petty. It didn't matter. Maybe she hadn't changed. She felt suffocated. Fuck you. I don't even want to pick up trash anymore. Ning Shu asked, do you know that there's a problem with the Sea of Law? I know. If the Sea of Law is completely dried up, these planes will be finished. We won't have any value anymore. Ning Shu was especially annoyed. She suddenly knew about 2333's situation. She didn't care what would happen to her after the Sea of Law dried up. She only knew that she might not be able to pass this stage. A person without foresight would have immediate worries. Therefore, she didn't care what would happen after the Sea of Law dried up. She might not even be able to live until then. Ning Shu's eyes turned round and asked, who's the controller? Uncle. He's in charge of the production of all props and tools. Fragrant Wind Man said. Ning Shu sighed and asked again, then how are the mission enforcers and the system distributed? Random distribution. Ning Shu pursed her lips and thought about it. She carried her bag and moved in front of the Grand Uncle. She asked, can I change the system? You threw that scammer to me. That guy wants to kill people. You didn't think that I would die. The Grand Uncle looked at Ning Shu. So, whether you live or die has nothing to do with me. Don't you feel guilty? You can actually order me to do things so confidently now. Ning Shu gritted her teeth and felt aggrieved. You're valuable. If you don't want to be valuable, I can kill you. What the hell did you say? You want me to give you Jingqing? Who do you think you are? You want me to send you a crusade? The Taishu glasses reflected a cold light. Don't bother me. If you don't want to do it, I'll just kill you. You won't have to do it in the future. Tell me when you want to die. The Grand Uncle dealt with the star stones and ignored Ning Shu. Ning Shu's legs shook uncontrollably again. She held her chin to prevent her teeth from chattering. Why did you throw 2333 to me? I met you and threw you away. Why do you have to explain? You've already picked up all the fragments. Don't give me some color and start a dye shop. Don't you think you're too important? The Grand Uncle narrowed his eyes. Killing was just a matter of moving a finger. It was too noisy, jumping up and down, too annoying. Ning Shu took a deep breath. Then can you take my system away? Yes, you can die. He can find another partner. The Grand Uncle took out his gun and pointed it at Ning Shu. You're the most annoying person I've ever met. Ning Shu shot the bullet. Her whole body seemed to be frozen. The sharp pain in her forehead brought Ning Shu back to reality. Ning Shu used the space law and directly performed a space jump to avoid the bullet. When she reappeared, the black bullet was still whistling toward Ning Shu. Even a space jump couldn't avoid the bullet. Ning Shu's pupils contracted and her whole body trembled. She shouted, I still have one immunity. One immunity. She didn't do anything. Why should she be obliterated? Ning Shu's teeth chattered. The bullet brushed past Ning Shu's shoulder and instantly sucked away some of her soul, weakening Ning Shu's soul. Ning Shu's whole body was cold. She looked at the grand-uncle. The grand-uncle adjusted his glasses. Do it or not. If you don't do it, then die. There's no need to keep worthless things. /BK. Chapter 28:30. Ning Shu took a deep breath. She had gone to ask if she could change the system, but she had taken a bullet. Looking at her soul, Ning Shu wanted to cry. Her soul had become weak again. She was really regressing. Her soul was getting weaker and weaker. He was venting his anger because she snatched the Earth Law imprint. The cold killing intent froze Ning Shu's soul. She held her bag and hid far away. TSK, you really have a problem with your brain. Why did you go over for no reason? What does it matter if you die? Do you think you are so special that your bargaining chips are not enough for you to negotiate with others? Fragrant Wind shook his head and went to command the army. Ning Shu sat down and touched her forehead. If it wasn't for the pain between her eyebrows that allowed her to move, she wouldn't have stood there and let others kill her. Even though she had immunity once, some of her soul power was still taken away. God damn it. Ning Shu rubbed her eyes. She really wanted to cry. Come, here's a piece of paper. Wipe it. Tan Lang pretended to pass a piece of paper to Ning Shu. Poor thing, wipe it. Ning Shu really wanted to send him flying with a kick. The movement here only made the big bosses take a look. Then, they acted as if nothing happened and did what they were supposed to do. Tan Lang sat beside Ning Shu. Do you feel wronged? Do you feel pain? Do you feel despair? Do you feel uncomfortable? Do you feel hatred? Do you want to cut that guy into pieces? That's right. I don't know how many people hate and resent him, but he doesn't care at all. He doesn't care. He kills those who deserve it. Such a stubborn person is really annoying. Ning Shu didn't say anything. She mourned the loss of her soul power. The main system no longer purified the soul fluid and soul stone she sent over. The reincarnation world was now developing the reincarnation pool. It definitely needed soul power. The soul power from completing missions was given to the reincarnation world. Her soul was so weak now. It was time to stop picking up trash and do more missions. The merit points from picking up trash couldn't buy soul power. She didn't want to do 1,000,000 points. She would just accumulate them. She would do it when she was in the mood. He couldn't just drag people over to pick up trash while doing quests. Ning Shu was truly scared witless. His entire body was trembling. Even so, he still couldn't protect himself. If he was unhappy, he would kill him. God damn it. She must have had 8 lifetimes of bad luck to be given such a terrible system like 2333 for no reason. He was in a state of being killed at any moment. Thinking back to the past, he had to be careful with someone who could destroy him at any time. Ha ha ha, the ignorant are fearless. He just wanted to gossip, but in the end, this kind of thing happened. They couldn't stand to watch the show. Tan Lang, do you want to join the organization? Ning Shu looked at Tan Lang. You go and beat up the Taishu. It's best if you kill him. How about I join the organization? Tan Lang's expression changed. Let's change our request. Right now, we should take things slowly. We shouldn't take risks. Ning Shu rolled his eyes. You only know how to get people to be cannon fodder. Why are you dragging your feet when I ask you to do something? If he hung out with Tan Lang, he would die early. He would definitely be cheated to death. Did she really look so retarded? Did everyone treat her like she was retarded and easy to cheat and kill? Ning Shu said, when you can beat him up or kill him, how about I be your underling? Tan Lang muttered, if I can kill him, what do I need you for? My conditions are here. When you can do it, it will be when I join the organization. Ning Shu said to Tan Lang. Tan Lang almost rolled his eyes. That was impossible. If he could kill him, he would have done so long ago. He had an endless amount of ocean of law energy. If he was alone, he would be crushed to death. Tan Lang gritted his teeth. This fellow wouldn't act unless he saw a rabbit. How could he grind him over? Don't you hate him for treating you like that? You are just an ant, a dog that can be beaten and killed. It is an honor for you to work for him. You are willing. Don't you feel wronged and hate him? Tan Lang couldn't fulfill his request and could only brainwash Ning Shu. Ning Shu nodded his head, I am not a dead person. Of course I have feelings. I have all the feelings that you are talking about. Tan Lang immediately said, that's right. Join the great organization and destroy this cold-blooded and heartless organization. Stand up and not be enslaved. Ning Shu was speechless. You make it sound like you are not cold and heartless. Pushing people to die is fine. Pushing people to be cannon fodder. Ning Shu rubbed his eyes, my condition is still the same. If you can do it, I feel that you have the ability and strength to overthrow this organization. If you can't do it, then you should die early. Tan Lang was speechless. Blockhead. Ning Shu stretched out her vines. There were still a few bags left to pick up, so she left after picking them up. Maybe it was because Ning Shu's heart was trembling, but the vines were trembling like an electrocuted octopus. Ning Shu tried his best to take a deep breath, and then another. There was a feeling of imperial power. If you were given something, you would take it. If you were not given something, you could only look at it. Your life was not in your own hands. If the emperor wanted your subject to die, the subject had no choice but to die. No matter whether you were willing or not, no matter how many reasons you had, these were not enough to let you live. At least there were still people in the plane who could counterattack. People like them, if they died, would be completely annihilated. They would not even have the chance to be reborn. The vines kept trembling. Ning Shu retracted his vines and picked up the fragments with his hands. He really did not have the energy to control so many vines now. Ning Shu carried the bags and walked around. It was as if a basin of ice water had been poured over his body. It was especially cold. She thought that she could survive. At least there was something different about her. But she was still going to be killed. When connecting the planes, Ning Shu picked up the scraps as usual. He did not want to touch them, but he thought of the lake of the law of nothingness for the ultimate martial arts. Anyway, he did not want them. It would be a waste if he did not want them. For the sake of his ultimate martial arts, he should be more diligent. After picking up all the fragments, Ning Shu asked Fragrant Wind to send him back and gave him some merit. Anyway, he would not come back to pick up fragments for a while. There were enough star stones. He just needed to accumulate them. With the reward, Fragrant Wind quickly built a passage and sent him away. Before leaving, Ning Shu glanced at the grand uncle. She really hoped that these two brothers would perish together and die. When he threw 2,333 to her, he knew that it would kill her. It was just that he happened to encounter it once or twice during the mission. He really had 8 lifetimes of bad luck. She was even more unlucky as the previous collaborator of the system. Ning Shu returned to the system space with the black bone umbrella. Perhaps it was a psychological effect, but he felt that staying in the system space was like being pricked by needles. Ning Shu sat on the sofa and suddenly said, 2333, 2333, yes. Will you kill me? I want to know. Ning Shu felt that it was necessary to know 2333's thoughts to adjust his battle plan/BK. Chapter 28-31. There were some things that needed to be planned. Ning Shu did not want to be killed by someone at the last moment after she had painstakingly climbed all the way here. Ning Shu didn't feel that it was a burden to know the truth now. If she was killed without knowing anything, that would be aggrieved and helpless. Now that she knew, she had to plan early. Even if she had to lose some things, she had to save her own life. 2333, haha, you must be scared. What I told you before was all made up. It's all made up. Ning Shu, ha 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 ha, 2333, we are bound together. If you die, there's no benefit for me. Why would I kill you? You're thinking too much. Why would there be no benefit? Ning Shu was so annoyed that she wanted to strangle 2333. Didn't you kill so many people before? 2333, didn't I say that I made it up? It's fake. You really believed it. Do you have a brain? Haha. Ning Shu was so angry that she laughed. Everyone was questioning her IQ. Everyone was insulting her IQ. Especially 2333. Ning Shu took a deep breath. You can't give me a definite answer. 2333, yes, I won't kill you. Why did Taishu change my host? How am I going to see him? How am I going to kill him? If I don't kill you, how am I going to get rid of the system binding me? Ning Shu, motherfucker, perhaps she had expected this situation in advance. Ning Shu suddenly calmed down a lot. Her heart didn't even waver. Ning Shu even smiled and asked, when are you going to do it? Let me be mentally prepared. 2333, let me think. How do you want to die? Is there something wrong with your brain? Why do you think I want to kill you? If I wanted to kill you, I would have done it long ago. Why would I wait until now? Ning Shu really wanted to kill 2333 now. Can't you be more honest? Let's be honest with each other. Ning Shu was a little helpless. Can't you let me do whatever I want in the world happily? What does 2333 want to do now? Can't you just stay quiet and be a witty retard? 2333 said, don't worry, I won't kill you. Our souls are bound together. If you die, I die too. Ning Shu hammered the ground. Those mission enforcers that were killed by her were really unfortunate. If they were really one, 2333 would have died countless times already. How could he still be chatting with her now? As for the soul binding, if 2333 didn't mention it, she wouldn't have noticed it. She didn't feel any soul binding with 2333. She didn't feel anything at all. The world of reincarnation and the peerless martial arts were tied together with her. She could feel the fluctuations in her heart at any time. But when it came to 2333, he felt nothing at all. It wasn't that she hadn't done a soul-binding mission before. She could even feel the other party's emotions. But Ning Shu never knew what 2333 felt like. So what if they were bound together? Who are you trying to fool? She was probably the one who was retarded. Ning Shu might have thought that he was overthinking things in the past, but now that he had doubts, something was definitely wrong. Since 2333 insisted on acting dumb, Ning Shu didn't ask anymore. She had to think of a way to protect herself so that she wouldn't be affected. But what could she do? 2333 might want to kill her at any time. Ning Shu felt that there was an 80% chance that 2333 would kill her if he said so. As for their past relationship, what kind of relationship did she have with 2333? Until now, they were both familiar and unfamiliar. And now, he suddenly knew that he wanted to kill her. So, the mission she did before was to help the enemy. It sped up 2333's plan to kill her. What's done is done. Ning Shu didn't regret it. Now, she had to think of a way to survive. What could she do? Her every move was under 2333's eyes. 2333, you're worrying too much. I just want to seek justice for myself. I don't want to kill you. We've been together for so long. Don't you believe me? Ning Shu shook her head until she felt dizzy. I don't believe you. You said that we've bound our souls, but in reality, we haven't. If we bind our souls now, we'll die together. I believe you. Including the punctuation marks. If their souls were bound together, then they would live and die together. 2333 would never kill her. Ning Shu believed that if the souls of ordinary mission enforcers were bound together with the system. But she and 2333 were not bound together. If 2333 was really bound to her soul, even if 2333 killed her, she would have to pay the price. No matter how many words were said, it was not as convincing as such an action. Ning Shu said with a smile, let's bind our souls. 2333, it's bound. We're really bound together, not in such a formality. 2333 was silent for a while. Think about it. If you're bound to me, I will be killed by senior uncle. You will also die. If I can't kill him, I will be pressed into the law of nothingness. Day and night, every minute and every second, I will suffer the pain of being devoured. Pain is mutual. Do you know the pain of being devoured by the law of nothingness? That feeling is indescribable. Now you know why I don't want to bind with you. Being bound together means that we will live and die together. Senior uncle will definitely press me into the law of nothingness because the law of nothingness is about to collapse. Why don't you understand my painstaking efforts? Ning Shu was speechless. I really believe 2333's evil. In the past, 2333 kept saying that they were bound together. Now that he wanted to bind with her, he pulled out a bunch of, I'm doing it for your own good, theories. You're a fucking pure and independent white lotus. It's all my fault. Ning Shu wanted to strangle him. She was basically sure that 2333 would not bind with her. And when he left, whether he would kill her or not would depend on his mood. These two people were the same. When they threw 2333 to her, they knew that 2333 would tear apart mission enforcers if he was in a bad mood. Ning Shu smiled slightly. Okay, let's bind. 2333 was silent again. Do you really want to bind with me? Fight against senior uncle with me. Because you are bound with me, our fates are connected. Either he dies or I die. Who cares who dies? Ning Shu felt like she was an ant in the palm of someone else's hand. Over and over again, she was crawling on the palm and back of the hand. Others could turn the hand over and make the clouds and rain rain. Bind, why not bind? How painful is it to be devoured? I haven't tried it, but I can try. Ning Shu sneered. 2333 would not bind with her. Ning Shu was sure of this. What a proud person. How could he be bound with an ant and share his life with an ant, especially an ant whose fate was uncertain? 2333, think about it carefully. Binding with me means that you have to go against many people in the organization because more than one person wants to press me in. Ning Shu, it doesn't matter. At least I can live a little longer. She was not sure when 2333 would leave her. /BK Chapter 2832. It wasn't that she didn't believe that there was true love in the world, but if you stepped on an ant, would you feel pain and guilt? They weren't on the same level. There was no trust, feelings, or betrayal. In 2333's eyes, she was such an existence that he could kill at any time. If he didn't kill her, it might be troublesome. However, Ning Shu didn't want to entrust his life to such uncertainty. Moreover, Ning Shu had other plans. 2333 was a little speechless. Where did you hear that I'm going to kill you? Aren't you thinking too much? Don't worry, even if I leave you, I won't kill you. After all, we've been together for so long. Previously, all the mission enforcers had to be together for a long time. This is between me and Taishu. I won't involve you. Moreover, you helped me a little. I'm a person who distinguishes between kindness and hatred. Helped a little. At the mention of this, Ning Shu wanted to cry. Forget it, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. If you think I'm going to kill you, think about it this way. I'm going to kill you. What's the point of being timid and cowardly? Ning Shu rolled her eyes. She wasn't born and raised by the heavens. She had come this far, and everyone cherished everything she had. No matter if she was timid or weak, she wasn't someone you could casually kill. He had to make a bloody path for her. At first, he thought that he might be able to live a carefree life. He didn't expect that something even more uncertain would appear. What Ning Shu couldn't figure out was, why did he make you a system? 2333 nodded. Probably because I had to stay in the law of nothingness and had to refine it. There was no place for me to put it. He made use of the waste and made me a weak system. Well, at that time, I was so angry that I was about to refine it. I suffered endless pain. When I was about to succeed, he made me fail. At that time, I was so angry that I killed the mission enforcers. After killing so many, I calmed down. He watched me kill from the side. After I killed one, he changed to another. The more he did that, the more I wanted to kill. Ning Shu was speechless. He was glad that he died a little earlier. Perhaps he would have been killed. At that time, 2333 was so mad that he wanted to destroy the world. 2333, there's no point in killing monsters. That bastard is laughing at me. Now that I've calmed down, I won't even bother to kill you. Ning Shu chuckled in his heart. He did not want to listen to 2333. He did not believe a single word he said. Ning Shu smiled. So, you won't be bound to me, right? Why are you blabbering so much? Are you not bound to me? 2333, trust me, not binding is for your own good. Ning Shu grinned. Thank you for being so considerate. You don't have to thank me. You know my good intentions. If 2333 was in front of him, Ning Shu really wanted to strangle her. Also, Ning Shu's sudden death meant that 2333 had absorbed a lot of her resources. At this time, it was completely possible for him to secretly use her resources. 2333, does this person have any moral integrity? Of course not. However, she had no evidence. She did not even know how much she should get. She absorbed as much soul energy as she could. She did not even think about whether 2333 would take a part of it. What if the information on the interface did not match her situation at all? 2333, he was changing his strategy. Instead of killing and changing mission givers, he might as well get stronger and rely on the mission givers. She was lucky but also miserable. She became 2333's energy source and stumbled until now. Ning Shu covered her face. There were some things that she didn't want to think about and didn't think much of. But now that it had happened, when she thought about it carefully, some things were so vague and strange. Now, it was clear, clear as day. Ning Shu suddenly asked, why are you suddenly telling me this? Why did he suddenly tell her about such a big matter? Was there something fishy going on? 2333, well, aren't you doing well? I asked His Excellency and told you. Fuck you, you're fucking innocent. Then why didn't you tell me before? You didn't ask. Ning Shu took a deep breath. Aren't your memories erased by the main system? I always thought you were a witty retard with no memories. I don't have memories of my previous life because I've only lived for this lifetime, 2333 said. Ning Shu exhaled like a big round balloon. He smiled slightly. So you're also a member of the organization? No, I'm not senior uncle. I don't have to care about these planes. Whether these planes collapse or creatures die, it has nothing to do with me. He won't care about me, but there was a problem with the Sea of Law. The first thing he did was to push me into the law of nothingness. Ning Shu was speechless. He felt complicated. He wanted to laugh but couldn't. He was gloating. Serves him right. Why wasn't 2333 swallowed by the law of nothingness? If he was, there wouldn't be anything after that. So many mission enforcers before had become the target of 2333's anger. Ning Shu was a little confused. What could she do to not be killed by 2333? Hysterical roars and anger couldn't solve the problem at all. Instead, it would push her into a desperate situation faster. She couldn't just listen to 2333's words. She could rest assured. Because she couldn't trust 2333 anymore. She couldn't straighten her chest and say affectionately, I believe you very much. Then he would kill her in one move and disappear. Without a Mary Sue life, there would be no Mary Sue dreams. She was just a person with no luck. Ning Shu asked tentatively, do you want to do a system mission? Doing a system mission was definitely 2333 collecting energy. Except for 2333, all systems hoped to wait for energy to perfect themselves. If 2333 needed a system mission, then he wasn't that strong now. If he rejected it, then she had to be careful. 2333's accumulated strength was almost enough. He could kill her and leave at any time. Once 2333's host was gone, senior uncle would take him away. That would be when a conflict would break out. 2333, okay, do you want to do a system mission? I have a lot of system missions in my hands. Ning Shu pondered. 2333's energy wasn't enough. But if it wasn't enough, why did he tell her these things? Or did he pretend to be crazy and let her do the system missions like before? Now that she knew this, she was very resistant to doing the system missions. Didn't 2333 know? Ning Shu leaned toward 2333's energy. It was almost enough, but the more the better. Whether she did the system mission or not, it didn't affect 2333 much. And once, 2333 even went to the law of nothingness to absorb energy. So, the current situation wasn't very good. It was equivalent to tearing off all pretenses. 2333 was no longer hiding himself, /BK. Chapter 2833. Ning Shu went to the restaurant in the City of Water and found the owner, Shu Bai. Shu Bai was fanning herself gently. Why are you looking for me, City Lord? Shu Bai asked the waiter to bring some pastries and tea. She looked at Ning Shu and said, you don't seem to be doing well recently. Why are you frowning? Do you have any questions for me? Ning Shu looked at Shu Bai and asked, how did you split from the system? What price did you pay? Shu Bai asked, does City Lord want to split from the system? It's such a pity. It's good for a person like me who doesn't have much fighting spirit to live a mediocre life. Someone spoke for me before I was able to live and separate from the system. However, without the system, it's reasonable for me to stop doing missions. To be honest, it's really too heavy to have someone else's fate on your shoulders. You can only force yourself to continue. You can do what you want without the expectations of others. Shu Bai's masked person should be very powerful. He only needed to say one sentence to solve something that she couldn't do even if she tried very hard. Ning Shu pondered for a while. This was a personal choice. Some people liked peaceful days while others liked the peak. Then are you happy now? Ning Shu asked, a little confused. She seemed to be unable to guarantee her own life no matter what. She felt that Shu Bai was stronger, but she wasn't as happy as Shu Bai. It's a so-so. It's a little easier when I'm doing missions. However, I have to worry about my business and my self-esteem. There were gains and losses. Don't you have someone backing you? Shu Bai faintly revealed a bitter expression. They can control me for a while, but I can't force them to help me. After all, I gave up on becoming stronger. There's nothing to complain about. You deserve to suffer when you're asking for help. Only those with permanent assets have perseverance. Only those with capital have principles and dignity. It's true that I'm strong. Now, I'm constantly worried that someone will dine and dash. I can't do anything about it. Ning Shu drank the tea. The tea was a little bitter, and it tasted bitter all the way to her throat. At that time, she was thinking of paying a price to move 2,333 away. Even if it was 3 or 5 million fragments each time, it would be fine. Her value was obviously not enough for others to put in the effort. She was very insignificant and thought that she could exchange conditions with others. Therefore, she deserved to die. She didn't ask senior uncle, but even if she died, she would drag someone down with her. Shu Bai looked at Ning Shu and said, "City Lord, I've endured it for a long time." Ning Shu didn't say anything. It was easier said than done, but Shu Bai hadn't been able to endure it back then. In the end, he gave up and felt sorry for his system, so he chose to pay the price to let the system leave him. 2333 might be making a big move soon. Even if she was strong now, she would not be able to catch up with 2333. She owed him $1 million and could only earn $5,000 a month. If she could not pay him back, she would have to die now. How could she still be in the mood to work for $5,000? There was no way he could keep up with 2333's progress. They couldn't even settle down to do their quests and earn a pitiful salary. Shu Bai waved her fan. I really don't know how to comfort you. I can only say that everyone has their own difficulties. You see, I'm carefree, but the people behind me don't care about me anymore. I'm almost done for. Moreover, I don't have a chance to become stronger. I'm not the person involved, so I don't know how you feel. Ning Shu gulped down a cup of tea. Thank you, I understand. Let's do what we have to do. Ning Shu put down the teacup and prepared to pay the bill and go to the space city to comprehend the spatial laws. He would not let his guard down. City Lord, it's my treat. You don't have to pay for this. Just take care of Shu Bai's business in the future. Ning Shu kept the identity card, nodded, and left the restaurant. He went to the space city. To build a space passage, the 4th level of the 9-Palace Mountain was connected to the world of reincarnation. Ning Shu was a little dispirited. He might be done for, but he was still worried that the world wasn't connected to the world of reincarnation. What did those people have to do with him? When he encountered misfortune and pain, who would be able to help him? No one. Therefore, he had to be strong. He had walked all the way here. He had already walked 80 steps. There was no reason why he couldn't continue walking. Ning Shu shook his head and expanded his sea of consciousness. Then, he stimulated the mental sphere and tried to expand his mental power. The space passage he built was much longer and more stable. The 10,000-li long march was built brick by brick. Ning Shu clutched his head. The pain of stimulating the mental sphere was too unbearable. While comprehending the spatial laws, Ning Shu's soul became thinner and weaker. Ning Shu looked at his hand. It was almost transparent. What was going on? Why did his soul power disappear when he was comprehending the spatial laws? It couldn't be any less. Moreover, his soul was transparent. Waves of exhaustion and emptiness came from his soul, and he became powerless. What was going on? Ning Shu's expression changed. He had never seen his soul power disappear for no reason. 2333's voice sounded in his mind. I'll borrow your soul power. Ning Shu quickly asked, what do you want to do? Of course it's to absorb your soul power. Lend it to me. As for your resources, treat it as the money you paid for your life. I said I won't kill you. I'm a very trustworthy person. If I said I won't kill you, I won't kill you. Ning Shu's heart was beating like thunder. What do you mean? Nothing. I don't want to be a system anymore. Let's not meet again. 2333's voice disappeared. Ning Shu shouted a few times but there was no response. He quickly returned to the system space and found that the soul stone, soul fluid, and golden soul origin that he had accumulated before were all plundered. Not a single trace was left. She couldn't bear to use it. She had been saving it. It was her most important resource. Even if the main system stopped purifying, she didn't panic. She thought that one day, she would be able to purify it without the main system taking a part of it. She was thankful for the resources that she had painstakingly saved. Son of a bitch. Ning Shu gritted her teeth. Her eyes were red. She opened the attribute panel. Merit and faith had become 0. 17 or 18 million merit points had been taken away by 2333. More than 6 million faith points had also been taken away. Especially the pure faith power that she had obtained from the 3rd level of the 9 Palace Mountain. There was not even a trace of it left. A lot of her soul power had been taken away. She couldn't even hold a flower now. Her soul was so weak that it directly went through things and couldn't be picked up. Without additional soul power, she was weak. The world of reincarnation needed soul power. Ning Shu curled up. 2333 had given her the wrong information again. She had always thought that 2333 was going to fight with senior uncle, and she was going to be used as a sacrifice. She was going to be killed as a sacrifice/BK. Chapter 28-34. Now it seemed that she was a little sheep. When she grew up, she would be plucked. Or even a piglet, she would be fattened and killed. Ning Shu now felt like her roommate had pried open her box and taken away all her things. She was even stripped of her clothes so that she couldn't go out to work. Her soul was so weak that she couldn't even pick up things. It could disappear at any time. How could she do missions? Her roommate had run away, and these things couldn't be recovered. Money to buy her life? Ning Shu couldn't help but chuckle. Her life was quite valuable. She had so many resources. From now on, she had nothing to do with 2333. At this time, should she thank 2333 for not killing her? She should be grateful that he spared her life. After all, the robber didn't kill her. She should be thankful that she was alive. Ning Shu hammered her chest. The anger in her heart almost made her explode. She was as lowly as an ant. Her life and death were in the hands of others. Holding such a little bargaining chip made people scoff. Fuck, he ran away. I really want to choke him and spit it out. Ning Shu despised him in her heart. He had said so generously and looked like he was going to fight with Grand Uncle at any time. In the end, he packed his bag and ran away. Looking at her soul, she could see the floor through her palm. Too weak. She was even weaker when she had just died. Now, if she wanted to do missions now, she could be controlled by the emotions of the person who commissioned her. Even the last bit of resources was taken away. Grand Uncle, who was dealing with the Star Stone, received a message from the main system. Zhengqing ran away. Grand Uncle, bastard, how did he escape? He shouldn't be able to escape the control of the system space. He did run away, the main system said. Grand Uncle frowned. Billions of planes, so many worlds. Do we have to look everywhere? Causing trouble. Grand-uncle pointed at the screen, informing uncle to come over and deal with the star stone. He waved to he. And he walked over and asked, "What's wrong?" "You deal with the star stone first," Grand-uncle said. And he wanted to roll his eyes. He hated this thing. Uncle rushed over and asked Grand-uncle, "He really ran away?" "He ran away. I have to find him. You deal with these things." "All right." Uncle Zhang nodded. "Go ahead. If you can't handle it, I'll get Sang Liang to help you." "Okay." The Grand Elder disappeared in a flash. And he sighed. "We have to do this again. It's so tiring. There are so many people and we still have to rely on us to do this." "Do it. It's a special occasion." Uncle Cheng squatted down and began to process the stellar stone. First, he had to remove the stellar stone that was embedded in the fragments. Then, he turned the stellar stone into a liquid state. This required a lot of energy. The star rocks were extremely hard. To turn a mountain of star rocks into a liquid state required a lot of energy and strength. Therefore, and he did not like this job at all. He would die of exhaustion. He would rather pick up the broken pieces. Dong dong, the voice of the chatting system sounded. Ning Shu, who was buried between his legs, raised his head and reached out his transparent hand to press the chatting system. After pressing it twice, the system finally responded. It was a message from the main system. The specific content was that she no longer had a system. Her system had escaped. Ning Shu rolled his eyes. Who knew how 2333 escaped? In the past, she did not escape because she was not strong enough. Now that she was strong enough, she ran away after robbing everything. Ning Shu was afraid that because he did not have a system, he would not be able to do missions like Shu Bai. The main system said, "I'm going to give you a new system. Do you accept it?" Ning Shu really did not like systems. Who knew what kind of system it would be this time? Moreover, it would take a long time to get used to it. If there were any disagreements when doing missions, it would be troublesome. Moreover, it was bound and could not be undone. He could get a divorce if he was married, but he could not if his soul was bound. Ning Shu said, "I don't want a new system. I can use the backup system." The backup system was not as intelligent and emotional as the main system, but it could handle the simple matter of entering the plane and returning to the system space. The backup system could be used completely. Whether there was a new system or not, it was not a necessity for Ning Shu. The main system said, "Don't you need a new system?" Ning Shu said tiredly, "No." The main system only said yes and did not say anything else. Ning Shu asked, "Then can I still do missions?" Now, he could only obtain soul power from mission takers. He had to rely on the mission takers to give him soul power. The main system said, "Yes." Ning Shu heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he was not in the same situation as Shu Bai. If he could not do missions, he would really be at a dead end. Now, he was poor and had nothing. He would be back to square one. With the current strength of his soul, if he continued to do missions, he would really be annihilated. Ning Shu heaved a long sigh of relief. He thought about whether he should go to the second level and get some soul fluid. Since the main system did not accept his soul fluid, he could not refuse other people's soul fluid. If he borrowed other people's hands, he might be able to get some pure soul fluid and condense his soul that was about to scatter. Ning Shu's heart skipped a beat. The array formation that he had left beside the rebirth pool had been activated. Could it be that Li Si had informed her that something had happened? Ning Shu held the black bone umbrella and walked into the black hole. He arrived beside the rebirth pool. At first glance, the skeleton saw that Ning Shu's soul was not as strong as some of the souls in the world of reincarnation. If he jumped into the rebirth pool with his current soul, he would only become a small worm. He would not be able to feel anything. If he drank a mouthful of dew, he might die. Beauty, what did you do? The skeleton asked Ning Shu in horror. How did you become like this? The skeleton stretched out its hand and the golden bone directly pierced through Ning Shu's body. You'd better get something to eat. If you continue like this, you will easily become a wandering soul without consciousness. Ning Shu replied with an "oh" and asked, "Why are you looking for me?" She was also worried. The skeleton said, "Beauty, the disaster beast has been dealt with." Ning Shu was surprised. So fast, it grew up so fast. How could it be so fast? The skeleton said, "That's not it. It was a half-mature disaster beast that ran out. It probably wanted to speed up its growth and came out to pollute the soul. The polluted soul jumped into the rebirth pool. The toxins in the body and the evil thoughts in the soul were stimulated even more. It happened to be caught by us. The next time should take a long time." Ning Shu nodded. When he wanted to pay, he found that he was now a pauper. No merit points, no power of faith. How could he kill disaster beasts in the future? At this moment, there was no awkwardness or embarrassment. Ning Shu said, "Wait for me. I'll go get something. I'll be back soon." Back in the system space, Ning Shu immediately opened the chat system. He found his uncle and asked him if he wanted the source of life. At this time, he was so poor that he could only sell his blood. "Uncle, sorry, I'm busy now. Let's trade later, /BK. Chapter 28-35. Other than his uncle, Ning Shu didn't know any other carpenters. Now that his uncle said that he wouldn't trade, Ning Shu's heart was filled with despair. The skeleton was still waiting for his reward. Ning Shu asked the system for the reward for picking up the shards. He would get at least 100,000 merit points each time. He had to pass this hurdle first. The system said, "You have a total of 4 settlements. You still have 1 left." Ning Shu pursed his lips and asked, "Can't I get it in advance?" The system said, "Sorry, you can't." The system was cold and official. For a dozen or so merit grains, they were in such a predicament. Money wasn't everything. You couldn't do anything without money. If he sold his blood, Si Tian would be happy if he sold his soul fluid and soul stones. However, 2,333 took all of them. Whether these things were sold for merit, faith, or soul fluid, they would all be taken away by 2333 in the end. Something that she treasured so much. Ning Shu scrolled through his friends list and saw the Chongsam man. He took a deep breath and opened it to borrow some merit points. The Chongsam man was very direct. He asked, "How much do you want?" Ning Shu said, 100,000. "I'll pay you back soon." The system notified him that he had received 100,000 merit points. Ning Shu let out a long sigh of relief and thanked the man in the Chongsam. Then, he used the borrowed money to exchange for 20 merit granules, spending more than 20,000 merit points. Holding the merit grains, a skeleton gave him 6 merit grains. "Thank you, beautiful. Next time if you need anything, come find me." The skeleton said with a smile and ate the merit grains. Ning Shu nodded and gave the remaining 2 merit grains to Li Si. The skeleton said, "This kid did well this time. He was the first to notice the disaster beast sneaking out." When they were playing landlord, the skeleton stared at the rebirth pool and found it. Ning Shu puffed out his chest and pretended to be humble. "I learned from you guys. It's natural for me to improve quickly." Li Si scratched his head and looked a little embarrassed. "It's just good luck. Then we'll be leaving. Beauty, your soul is so weak that it'll be destroyed by the astral wind. You better be careful." Ning Shu nodded. Thank you. It's okay. It's our responsibility to serve beautiful women. It's our duty to make beautiful women happy. That's right, beauty. Let's exchange contacts. My name is the most handsome skeleton. Ning Shu was speechless. He contacted the direct subordinates of these skeletons and sent them away. Beauty, you can come to us if you need anything next time. We promise that we'll do it properly for you. Beauty, please don't forget about me. You are my favorite morning glory. Ning Shu was speechless and waved goodbye. After he left, Ning Shu turned to Li Si and said, "You did a good job this time. I'll get you some merit grains next time." Ning Shu felt that he was a bankrupt boss. He couldn't even afford to pay his salary, so he could only put it off until next time. I didn't do anything. They were the ones who did it. Ning Shu felt that Li Si was a simple and honest child. He was Pai Lupi's follower and would do whatever he was told to do. Are you okay? Your soul is so weak. It was the first time he saw her in such a sorry state. Her soul used to be as condensed as a real person. What happened? I'm fine. I'm just kidding. Ning Shu shivered. The chilly wind in the world of samsara was bone-chilling. Why didn't he feel it before? It was a bone-chilling cold. Ning Shu walked out of the Jilgong mountain with the black bone umbrella. He saw that the palm-sized rebirth pool was now as big as a wash basin. The blue sky and white clouds were reflected in the water. This was good news. After all, the rebirth pool was expanding. This was a good thing compared to the recent unfortunate events. He wondered how big the rebirth pool could expand. He entered the second level of the world and prepared to find Yilin. He wanted to see if Yilin had any soul fluid. If not, he could get some soul fluid. As soon as he entered the world, Ning Shu felt the scorching sun. She was like an ice cream, about to melt. The strong wind was about to blow Ning Shu away, but the yang qi of heaven and earth was about to melt her. A trace of coolness gushed out from the rule between his eyebrows. Only then did Ning Shu's soul feel less uncomfortable. Fortunately, she could still use the rule. She was afraid that she would become a weak soul without any power. She was hated by everyone in this world. She didn't know how many people wanted to kill her. It would be sad if she died here. Ning Shu jumped through space and looked for Yilin. Finally, he found Yilin in a house. Ning Shu turned invisible and walked into the yard. He found that Yilin was the only one in the house. Where was Bai Sisi? Why weren't the two people who were always together with Meng Meng and Jiao Meng together? Was Bai Sisi dead? Ning Shu said, "Yilin." "Master?" Yilin looked around. Ning Shu appeared. Seeing that his soul could be blown away by the wind, Yilin was shocked. "Master, how did you become like this? Did something happen to you?" Ning Shu asked, "Where's Bai Sisi?" At the mention of Bai Sisi, Yilin couldn't help but sigh. "She ran away." "What do you mean she ran away? Could it be that she ran away just like 2333? She was jealous and just ran out. I told her that it was a misunderstanding. I dare say that's not the case with Qiao Qiao. Perhaps he had found someone to confide in. I just saved Qiao Qiao. Qiao Qiao invited me to the house as a guest. There's nothing between us." Ning Shu. "It's so dangerous outside. Why didn't you go look for her? There's a saint chasing after her. If I go out to chase after her, it means that it's my fault." Ning Shu. Straight man. Ning Shu couldn't be bothered with these young men and women. She was about to be roasted. She finally felt like she was a ghost. She was afraid of sunlight. "Ning Shu, how much soul fluid have you collected? Give me some. I need it urgently." "Yes." Yilin gave Ning Shu the mess in space. I collected it recently. Ning Shu nodded and returned the ring space to Yilin. Go out and look for her. Don't come across any danger. It's too late to regret it. You have to stabilize the rear. Your master became like this because the rear wasn't stabilized. And it couldn't be stabilized even if he wanted to. Yilin immediately nodded. I'll go look for her. He was a little angry that Bai Sisi didn't believe him. They had already planned to build a sect. He didn't expect her to throw a tantrum at this time. Brother Yilin, Brother Yilin. A sweet voice came from outside the door. Ning Shu quickly turned invisible. Yilin awkwardly opened the door. At the door was a girl about 14 years old. She had bright eyes and white teeth and a sweet smile. Xiao Qiao looked into the room and asked, "Where's Sister Sisi?" She went out to do something. What's the matter? Yilin was anxious to find Bai Sisi/BK. Chapter 28-36. To thank you for saving me, my father specially asked you to go to the armory to pick a weapon as a gift. Are you going now? Ning Shu saw that this girl was staring at Yilin with her bright eyes. He was afraid that she was interested in Yilin. Then Bai Sisi's feeling was not wrong. As Yilin grew stronger, more and more women would flock to him. The strong would have more resources, and beauty was also a kind of resource. Let's talk about it next time. I have something to do. Yilin refused. Bai Sisi had been away for a while, and they had not had any conflicts. He did not understand why Bai Sisi had such a big reaction to this. Brother Yilin, my father and the others are still waiting. There are many good things in the armory. It would be a pity if you don't go. Xiao Qiao said. Ning Shu said to him telepathically, people are the most important. Yilin was a little hesitant at first, but after hearing Ning Shu's words, he refused. No, I have something to do. I'll leave first. Yilin did not care about Xiao Qiao's feelings and left in a hurry. Xiao Qiao stomped her feet in disappointment. Idiot, there are so many good things. There won't be such a shop after this village. I have to tell my father that we can't cancel it. We must wait until Brother Yilin comes back. Ning Shu was speechless. He was in a dilemma. Ning Shu took the things and left. He did not want to stay in this world. It would be bad if his soul was destroyed by some powerful artifact. After all, her soul was too weak now. After returning to the system space, Ning Shu went to the City of Time and went to the restaurant to find the Cheongsam man. If the Cheongsam man had no choice, then he could only give a part of the profits to the Imperial Sky and discuss it with the main system in the name of the Imperial Sky. Yo, what's wrong with you? A new style? The Cheongsam man saw Ning Shu and teased him while waving his folding fan. What the fuck? A willow in the wind. Ning Shu closed the umbrella and sat down, saying, it's a long story, but it's a new life. You call someone who made their soul weak a new life? The Cheongsam man took a sip of tea. Are you here to pay me back? No, I'm here to ask you for help. You know how weak my soul is right now, so I can't do the quest. Ning Shu took out the soul fluid. There was quite a bit of soul fluid in the wine jug. One could only imagine how much soul fluid a jug would contain. The Cheongsam man looked at the item and was a little surprised. I'm afraid there's something wrong with this item. Can you bring it to the main system to purify it? The organization is very strict in this area. Where did you get this? Don't drag me down with you. You can send it to the main system to be purified. Why do you have to go through me? Ning Shu sighed and said that his source had already been verified. However, the main system would no longer purify the soul fluid he sent over. Look at how weak my soul is right now. I can't even do the quest. I have to take advantage of some loopholes. If you agree, we can split the soul fluid. He had to give something in return for help. The Cheongsam man held his folding fan. Even if I send it over, the main system will still investigate and find you. There's no difference. Damn, I feel like the heavens want me dead. Then you can buy it from me. I can't purify it anymore, so I'll sell it to you. That's doable. However, the main system will record the transfer. The Cheongsam man was still tempted by the soul fluid. Let's put on a show. Give me the money. When the soul fluid comes back, I'll return it to you. Okay. The two worked together to send the soul fluid. As expected, the main system sent a message to the Cheongsam man. The Cheongsam man did as the two had said before. However, he still gave him 40%. When the 40% was sent over, Ning Shu still had to split it with the Cheongsam man. The Cheongsam man asked for 10%, while Ning Shu took 30%. Holding the pure soul power, he hugged the bottle and gulped it down. His soul became a little more solid. There was no longer that empty feeling of floating without his feet touching the ground. Ning Shu licked his lips. He was still not satisfied. If only he had more soul fluid. Now, his soul could do some quests. He could only get 30%. What a scam. It seemed that he had to get more soul fluid to strengthen his soul. Thank you for this time. Ning Shu returned the 500,000 merit points to the Cheongsam man. The Cheongsam man narrowed his eyes. Originally, he had single-eyelid peach blossom eyes. With this narrowing, he looked like a smiling fox. I smell gossip. Can you tell me what happened to your body? The Cheongsam man asked softly with a hint of coaxing. Ning Shu's expression was indescribable. It was as if he had eaten shit. This made the Cheongsam man feel even better. Ning Shu rolled his eyes. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about my scandal. I refuse. The Cheongsam man, okay. You look like your soul has been sucked. What happened? Ning Shu picked up the black bone umbrella. I'll look for you next time. Let's have a good cooperation. The Cheongsam man leaned back against the chair. It's not good at all. You don't even tell me what happened. Help the needy and not the poor. There's no reason for me to help you all the time. Ning Shu pointed at himself. Don't I look like I'm in a hurry? I'm about to die from anxiety. Ning Shu looked left and right. He sat down and whispered, my system escaped. I wasn't paying attention and my soul power was sucked away. The Cheongsam man's hand that was fanning himself paused. If that's true, then your system is amazing. This is the first time I've heard of such a thing. This kind of escapee won't have a good ending if they're caught. How bad is your relationship with your system? You let him escape. Ning Shu's face was full of mystery. The situation was too complicated. As for 2333 being caught and what happened to him, it had nothing to do with her. She was even glad that 2333 escaped. She had one less burden. From now on, they would have nothing to do with each other. The Cheongsam man nodded. Since you're so pitiful, you can look for me next time. It was simple and he could get a lot of soul power. It would be a waste not to take something that was sent to his doorstep. Not only did he absorb your soul power, but he also took away all your belongings. There's no need for him to borrow money from me. Ning Shu. He felt like he was going to become a dark history. Okay, your system is quite unique. You guys must have a bad relationship. Your soul was bound and he was willing to sacrifice himself to drag you down. If he was caught and died, you would die too. Ning Shu grinned. You're thinking too much. There was no such thing as a soul binding. There was no such thing from the beginning to the end. It was just 2333's excuse. Sometimes when she asked questions, 2333 would use this binding to dispel her doubts and make her believe that they were really one. Let's not talk about the past. The Cheongsam man looked at her. You should be careful. /BK. Chapter 2837. Ning Shu's pale and transparent face showed a smile as he said to the Cheongsam man, I'll be careful. After 2333 left, Ning Shu didn't feel anything in his heart. He even breathed a sigh of relief. The two of them fought from the ground to the ground, broke the plane, and fucked the sea of law. It had nothing to do with him. He didn't need to worry about him becoming cannon fodder when the two of them fought. His heart ached. So many things. Ever since he started doing missions, he was like a mouse moving food. The things he accumulated bit by bit were all gone now. It really hurt. It was too painful. It was as if his heart and liver were dug out. TSK, don't smile at me, especially with that transparent face of yours. It's so creepy that it gives me a toothache. You can either go get some soul fluid or go do some missions. Your soul is so weak. People will be suspicious. How can you be the city lord of a city with such soul strength? Ning Shu reached out to pat the Cheongsam man's shoulder, but his hand passed through it. This was a bit awkward. The Cheongsam man looked at Ning Shu expressionlessly. Ning Shu retracted his hand and said, Thank you for helping me this time. If you need any help in the future, just call me. You're poor now. It's more appropriate for me to help you. Ning Shu was speechless. He was indeed poor. Ning Shu felt that it was better to do missions. He probably couldn't get much soul fluid, at least not in a short time. Her soul was so weak that she couldn't go to Nine Palace Mountain. If she was roasted or caught, death would be the only thing waiting for her. Therefore, the safer way to get soul power now was to do missions. While doing missions, she could also cultivate peerless martial arts. Spiritual power wouldn't change with the plane. I'm leaving. Ning Shu opened the black bone umbrella and returned to the system space. Now, he didn't even want to go out. This state was no different from not wearing clothes. Ning Shu sat on the sofa and wondered if 2333 didn't kill him because he wanted to let his hair grow longer and come back to pluck him again. He still wanted to pluck his hair. Once he turned into iron, how could he pluck it out? Although Ning Shu felt heartache at the loss of these resources, he had exchanged them for 2333 and left. He could only feel at peace in his heart. Luckily, the world of reincarnation was still around, and so was the supreme martial art. Although 2333 did not care about these things at all, they were her foundation. Ning Shu bounced around the sofa for a while before stopping to congratulate him. Feeling tired, he sat down and asked the backup system, I want to do a mission. Send me there. Yes, may I ask what grade of mission host would like to do? Simple, grade, high, relatively difficult, difficult, S grade, SS grade, SSS grade, Hell grade, Sea of Laws grade. The backup system asked in a robotic voice. Ning Shu. What are the Sea of Law level missions like? Backup system, the difficulty of creating a new Sea of Laws is equivalent to the difficulty of creating a Sea of Laws. How difficult was that? Ning Shu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Who could complete a mission of this level? Probably no one. This was the first time he had heard of such a detailed division of quests. In the past, he only knew of the basic, advanced, and super quests, but he was not too sure about the rest. He was too busy to read the books that he bought. The backup system did not have human emotions. It would only search and answer according to the mission giver's questions, strictly following the mission giver's request. Ning Shu felt that the backup system was quite good. It perfectly solved the problem of not having a system. The backup system was just an intelligent system, so he did not have to worry about its emotions. If it was a new mission giver, he would have to think twice before speaking. From then on, this system space became his own place. How free and unfettered, he could do whatever he wanted. Ning Shu thought about how his soul was so weak now. If he did too difficult a mission, he would be influenced by the mission giver's emotions. Doing a simple mission. According to your situation, a suitable mission has been selected for you. Please prepare for the mission. The system said. Ning Shu opened the system exchange store. Seeing the price of fasting pills, he felt a little heartache. When he had money, he could buy fasting pills casually. Now he had no money and was in debt. Although it was expensive, Ning Shu still exchanged for some. It was better to be safe than sorry. He could not save a little bit of money and end up killing himself. Ning Shu bought something to calm his mind. His soul was weak now, so it was easy for him to be controlled by his emotions. He spent some money again. The money that he borrowed from the Cheongsam man was already half gone. I need to earn money, I need to earn money. I can go do the mission now. Yes, the transmission has been activated for you. Please be careful. The transmission process is a little bumpy and uncomfortable. Host, please bear with it. Although it was just an intelligent system, it still made Ning Shu's heart feel warm. Although he had been transmitted many times. This time, perhaps because his soul was too weak, the transmission process was especially uncomfortable. It had been a long time since he felt this way. He had to start from the novice village again. It was too fucking helpless. After merging with the soul, the body's heart was thumping and his body went soft. The sharp sound of a phone rang. Ning Shu's soul had not completely merged with the body yet. Naturally, he was shocked when he heard the sound. Ning Shu reached out to take the phone. An angry voice came from the other side of the phone, "Don't call the police. If you call the police, think about the consequences. I'm changing places now. Send the money to this place. Follow our address and bring the money over." Ning Shu's mind quickly reacted. This situation must be a kidnapping. Such familiar words. I'll give you the money. I'll definitely give you the money. Don't hurt him. Ning Shu's heart trembled and her fear was contagious. Her heartbeat was irregular and her teeth were chattering. I'll give you the money. I'll listen to you. Please don't hurt him. I'll raise the money. 10 million. Okay. I'll raise the money. The other side hung up first. Ning Shu received the plot as fast as she could and began to prepare the money. The client was called Wuxia. She was a beautiful actress. When her career was glorious, she married a rich businessman and gave birth to a daughter. However, the marriage lasted for more than 10 years. In the end, she couldn't stand her husband appearing in the gossip every time like a licentious and wretched old man. She divorced him. Fortunately, the marriage broke down. Because she divorced her husband, who had a messy private life, she received a large pension. Their daughter followed Wuxia. The two of them depended on each other for survival. The client came back and occasionally acted. Their life was still very comfortable. At that time, the couple's divorce was widely reported by the media. They knew that Wuxia was a real rich woman. When the media reported it, they even reported the amount of the pension/BK. Chapter 28:38. Her daughter, Yu Lihi, was kidnapped on her way home from school. The kidnappers demanded 10 million. The client called the police, but this seemed to have angered the kidnappers. They chopped off her daughter's fingers and took photos of her nude body. The client was devastated. Her daughter cried on the phone and said that she was in pain. The reporters, who were paying attention to the police, understood the situation and prepared to report it. The client begged the reporters not to report it. Wuxia was a public figure. Using public figures to make money was the foundation of entertainment news. Wuxia begged and even paid hush money, but there were still a few newspapers that reported it. Through the newspapers and the internet, this kidnapping case spread like wildfire. It was as if the whole world knew about it. Then, there were reporters at the door every day to follow the progress of the kidnapping case. They wanted to be on the front page. When they paid the ransom, there were reporters behind them. The client begged, "Stay away, don't come so close." No one listened. The kidnappers knew that the police were alerted, but they didn't appear to take the ransom. The daughter, Yulihi, bore all the wrath of the kidnappers. She was raped and beaten. Her whole body trembled, her liver was ruptured, and she died of internal bleeding. The next day, Yulihi's body was thrown into the gutter. She died a horrible death. Her tongue was out, and her head and body were full of injuries. But the photos of Yulihi's tragic death were widely reported by the media. The client saw so many reporters taking photos of his daughter's body. He was devastated. And in the process of arresting the kidnappers, the media helped. Some people found the kidnappers. The police wanted to arrest them according to the information provided by the informant. But the media followed the police and reported the arrest. There were a lot of reporters and onlookers. There was a problem during the arrest. One of the kidnappers escaped and a police officer was sacrificed. It was as if everyone was paying attention to this news. The newspapers were sold out. Yulihi finished her daughter's funeral in a daze. After the kidnappers paid with their lives, Yulihi wanted to pursue the responsibility of a few newspapers. In the program, someone even asked Yulihi to forgive those reporters. Because those reporters relied on this to make a living. You are a rich woman. You got a large sum of money from your divorce. You know how these reporters are. You eat human blood buns. Kidnappers need to eat. Murderers need to eat. Drug dealers need to eat. Could it be that he would do such a thing for the sake of food? Previously, the media had exposed the amount of divorce compensation that he had received. His wealth had been exposed and it had attracted jealousy. Then, they reported it with great fanfare and angered the criminals, which was why they did such a cruel thing. Her daughter's tragic death was still circulating on all major media outlets. She wanted to forgive these people. Regardless of whether a person was dead or alive, without confirming the safety of a hostage, they reported wantonly, followed the family members to pay the ransom, and even took piles of photos after the death of the hostage. In order to attract attention, they even wantonly reported the process of Yulihi being raped. He invited a team of experts to discuss whether rape was perverted sex. Disgusting. The client's heart was as dead as ashes. She only wanted her daughter to live. Ning Shu wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. This time, he would not call the police. How did the media find out about this? Someone must have let it slip. Although a special team had been formed, because of the involvement of the media, this matter was particularly slow and inefficient. These paparazzi would not listen to the police's advice. Only by making people feel excited would the newspaper be able to sell. In the face of benefits, people's hearts were terrifying. Therefore, the most important thing was to save his daughter. As for the media, he would settle the score later. Didn't they want to eat? He would make them lose their rice bowls. Eat a ball. Ning Shu changed into simple clothes and prepared to go to the bank to withdraw money. At the same time, he bought some wanton weapons, such as spray and electric shocks. Ning Shu wanted to practice, but time was of the essence. He packed a few bags full of money in case he did not need it. Ning Shu drove to the ditch where the body was first found. These people should not be far from the place where the body was dumped. His phone rang. Ning Shu picked it up. Have you prepared the 10 million? Ning Shu's voice sounded like he was about to cry. I've already prepared it. If you don't believe me, I can take photos for you. But it will take a long time to count the 10 million. Please don't hurt my daughter. I promise to give you the money obediently. His whole body seemed to have frozen. His body even trembled uncontrollably. Ning Shu tried to calm down. It was probably because his soul was too weak that he was controlled by his body's reaction. Did you call the police? No, absolutely not. I really didn't. I'm a celebrity. If I called the police, there would be news reports now. I don't dare to joke around with my daughter's life. Ning Shu wiped his nose and shouted. The other side probably didn't believe him. After hanging up the phone, Ning Shu drove to the place where the body was dumped. Now she was a weak woman. She could only use some anti-wolf weapons and rely on a little mental strength. With mental strength, she could at least determine her daughter's location. Ning Shu was worried that these criminals would still cruelly rape Yulihi. How painful would it be if they put rivets on Yulihi's body? Ning Shu was still a little uneasy about saving people on her own without any strength. After all, she couldn't use the rules here. She couldn't cultivate until she was successful enough to save people. After all, it was a race against time. Yulihi was only 16 years old. She didn't know what kind of psychological trauma such an encounter would bring to her. The gangsters' rape methods were very cruel and perverted. Ning Shu rubbed the accelerator and came to the place where the body was dumped. Using this place as the center, he began to scan the surrounding dilapidated residential buildings or dilapidated factories. Finally, he found these gangsters and Yulihi in a rented house. Yulihi was tied up in a very strange position. Ning Shu saw that her clothes were still intact and felt relieved. At least she hadn't been violated yet. Because of the media reports, these gangsters were angry and killed the hostage. Yulihi cried silently. The gangster was annoyed and kicked her body. Yulihi cried in pain but didn't dare to cry loudly, otherwise she would be beaten again. Damn, some people are born so rich. They can eat and drink well. Women are fucking good. If they are beautiful, they can get a lot of money if they are fucked by men. Ning Shu was angry and calmed down. He felt that if he knocked on the door like this, Yulihi would definitely die miserably. She got 5 lunchboxes as fast as she could and dressed up like a delivery person. She used makeup to make her face look sallow and sallow/BK. Chapter 28-39. Ning Shu was wearing loose clothes and looked like a delivery man. He had pepper spray and an electric weapon in his pocket. On the phone. The most important thing to be wary of was the presence of guns. There had been a gunfight with the police during the arrest, which meant that these people had guns. Ning Shu was a little nervous. He had to save someone without any power. He knocked on the door. The knocking made the people in the room a little nervous. One of them opened the door and stared at Ning Shu through the gap. Ning Shu was holding the lunchbox. This is the food you ordered. The man was a little confused. He turned around and asked, who ordered? Ouch, my eyes. The man covered his eyes. His eyes were burning and he felt like he was going to go blind. Ning Shu kicked the door open and rushed in. Before the gangsters could react, she stood in front of Yulihi and blocked their way. He didn't want these people to control Yulihi and restrict her movements. When Yulihi saw Ning Shu, she burst into tears. It was as if she had found someone to rely on. The 4 men's faces were ugly. Their eyes were glowing with a faint green light and their faces were trembling. Ning Shu held the pepper spray in his hand and reached for the electric weapon in his pocket. The criminal sneered. You're just a delivery man. You want to be a Samaritan. Ning Shu was wearing greasy clothes. His hair was tied up and his face was sallow. He didn't look like a glamorous celebrity at all. Don't come over. Otherwise, I'll spray your face. Ning Shu was holding the pepper spray. His hands were trembling uncontrollably. The gangster's eyes flickered with contempt and viciousness. Other than the gangster who had his eyes sprayed, the other 3 gangsters surrounded him. He didn't even use a gun to deal with such a weak woman. It was a waste of bullets. Ning Shu sprayed the pepper spray at them. As he was prepared, the person who was sprayed blocked his eyes. The person beside him grabbed Ning Shu's arm and wanted to throw him over his shoulder. Ning Shu held the electric chair and pressed it against the back of the criminal's head, electrocuting him until his eyes rolled back. Ning Shu also fell to the ground with a thud. His arm hurt from the fall. He hurriedly got up and stood in front of Yu Lihi. Ning Shu was now in a sorry state. His face was stained with dirt from the floor, his food was overturned, and his clothes and hair were stained with grease. Bitch! One of the criminals took out his gun and aimed it at Ning Shu with a silencer. Mom! Yu Lihi was scared out of her wits. Her face was ashen and filled with fear. She had been on the brink of death for the past day and night. When Ning Shu saw the black muzzle, her heart trembled. This was an instinctive fear of her body. She was clearly dominated by fear. This was the disadvantage of having a weak soul. Mom. You're Wuxia. That bitch actually found her way here. Brother Zhang, we can't let this bitch live. I wonder if she called the police. Kill her. Let's run away quickly. Ning Shu's actions made the 4 criminals angry, especially the one who was sprayed with chilly water. His eyes were red and he kept crying. He couldn't open his eyes at all. Kill 2 of them. Cut them into 8 pieces. Fuck that bitch. Ning Shu's heart was filled with murderous intent. He really wanted to tear his mouth off, especially since Yu Lihi was tortured to death. It seems that he can only use the last trick, a spiritual attack. Ning Shu divided his spiritual force into 4 parts and wanted to drill a sharp nail directly into the heads of the 4 people. Ah! My head! It hurts, it hurts. Some of the criminals who were rolling on the ground in pain endured the severe pain in their heads and Ning Shu fired a shot. Ning Shu used his spiritual force to slightly change the direction of the bullet. The bullet hit the wall with a bang. Yu Lihi screamed in fear. Taking advantage of this emptiness, Ning Shu took out the spray and sprayed it directly into the eyes of the criminal with the gun. He picked up the bench and smashed it directly into his hand. With a crack, the arm made a sound of broken bones, and the arm swelled at a speed visible to the naked eye. The gun also fell to the ground. Ning Shu slashed the gun with his foot. Bitch! Someone rushed over to Ning Shu. Ning Shu picked up the bench and hit him. With a plop, the criminal fell to the ground and fainted. Ning Shu sprayed a bottle of chilly water on several criminals. He sprayed it on their faces. There was something on their faces that needed to be wiped off with their hands. With this, the chilly water got into their eyes. My eyes, my eyes. Cries of agony rose and fell one after another. Ning Shu picked up the bench and began to beat the gangsters. She kicked the lower body of the gangsters, causing their cries of agony to become much softer. One by one, they curled up into a ball. Their eyes hurt, their bodies hurt, and their lower bodies hurt. Ning Shu took out his mobile phone and turned off the recording. He called the police. At this time, it was time for the police to deal with it. Ning Shu was very embarrassed. He was sweating and his hair was soaked in oil. With a greasy smell, he untied the rope for Yu Lihi. Yu Lihi's tied posture has been stiff. Even if she is untied, she can't move her body quickly. The place where she was tied is already purple. How painful it is to be raped in this state. The torture of hell is just like this. She is still a growing child. Mom, behind, behind. Yu Lihi looked at Ning Shu's back in horror. Ning Shu turned around with the bench and hit the other side's bench. The force of the collision made Ning Shu's arm numb. He is not used to such a weak body. He has never been so weak. Ning Shu kicked the criminal's lower body. He cried out in pain. He didn't know whether to cover his eyes or his lower body. Hearing that Ning Shu had called the police, the four of them shed tears. When they tried to open their eyes, they could only see blurry things. Like blind people, they groped to run out. Their weak parts were attacked. They squeezed their legs and groped toward the door. Ning Shu used a stool and a man to beat them back. She shook the spray and sprayed it at their faces. After doing these things, Ning Shu's whole body was free. His hands were trembling. The siren sounded. Soon, there was a loudspeaker below. People on the first floor, listen up. You have been surrounded. Surrender quickly. Ning Shu rolled his eyes. Sometimes, he really can't stand these people. Hearing the sound of the door breaking, Ning Shu immediately hugged his daughter and cried. Yu Lihi was originally scared. When she heard her mother cry, she cried even louder. Her voice was full of fear and despair. She curled up into a ball and shivered. She looked like she was scared out of her wits. Mom, when the police broke in, this was the scene they saw. At the foot of the wall, two women hugged each other and wailed. Their voices were heartbreaking. For burly men were lying on the ground. Their faces were red and swollen. Especially their eyelids. They were red and swollen like red eggs. They looked like they were in pain, /BK. Chapter 2840. This was an indescribable scene. When the police saw the gun at the foot of the wall, they quickly put on gloves and put it in the evidence bag. Ning Shu wiped her tears. Police, my daughter was kidnapped. I am her mother. These are all criminals. You must seek justice for us. Without another word, the police tied up the four burly men who were in extreme pain. Even the shortest kidnapper was taller than this woman. How did a female comrade manage to turn four big men into such a state? The ambulance arrived. The four kidnappers couldn't even walk and could only be carried away on stretchers. Yu Lihi's body was very stiff. She couldn't move her arms and could only lie on the stretcher. She looked at Ning Shu in horror. Ning Shu comforted her. Don't be afraid. Mummy will always be by your side. Yu Lihi's face was pale. She was shocked and looked uneasy. As long as Ning Shu was not in her sight, her emotions would immediately become agitated. It seemed that she was really traumatized. Ning Shu was relieved. Fortunately, she was alive. She needed time to calm her down. Ning Shu's whole body was weak and trembling like a sieve. Two police officers helped her into the ambulance and sat opposite Yu Lihi. Ning Shu gritted her teeth and cried. Police, you must look after them. Don't let them escape. The police felt that those people's eyes were so swollen that they couldn't open them. Even if they wanted to escape, they couldn't. But they had to consider the emotions of the victims. Okay, don't worry. Only then did Ning Shu let out a sigh of relief. She reached out her hand and gently kneaded Yu Lihi's body, allowing blood to flow through her stiff body parts. Lihi, don't be afraid. Mummy will always be by your side. No matter what happens, Mummy will save you. When they arrived at the hospital, Yu Lihi was pushed into the operating room. Yu Lihi struggled to get down. Ning Shu could only comfort her. After the doctor gave her a sedative, the exhausted Yu Lihi fell asleep. Ning Shu took out his phone and called Yu Lihi's father. No matter what, his daughter was in trouble. As a father, shouldn't he do something? Furthermore, Yu Wei himself had some power and money. With one more person watching over these kidnappers could forget about escaping. A charming female voice answered the phone. "Hello, who is this?" "I'm Yu Wei's girlfriend." Ning Shu rolled his eyes. According to the information he got from the plot, Yu Wei was extremely lecherous, especially when he was rich. Many women would throw themselves at him. Yu Wei didn't reject any of them and accepted them with a smile. "What girlfriend? She's probably just a bedmate. It's not a fixed relationship. He'll dump her after playing with her for a while." The woman was also clear about this. It could only be said that they each took what they got. Ning Shu said, "Her daughter was kidnapped and is now in the hospital. Give the phone to Yu Wei." "Oh, really? That's too scary. I'll go right away." The woman on the other end of the phone exclaimed. After a while, Yu Wei's voice came. "Hey, what kidnapping? Who has the guts? Which hospital is she in? I'll come right away." While Yu Lihe was resting, Ning Shu bought some water and drank it. The rhythm of his heart was still very fast, and he couldn't stop at all. His whole body was dirty, and he was in an indescribable state. Yu Wei came to the hospital and saw Ning Shu sitting at the door of the operating room. He didn't dare to recognize him. A charming woman with a curvy figure was holding his arm. "What's going on? Are you okay? Where's Lihe?" Yu Wei asked. Ning Shu ignored the woman that Yu Wei brought over and told him the story expressionlessly. "So, you have to keep an eye on the 4 kidnappers. It's best if you can find a powerful bodyguard for Lihe to protect her. I think Lihe is scared this time. I will never let those people go. Don't worry about this. Lihe is my daughter. Of course I have to protect her. How about I watch over her, and you go and take a shower?" Yu Wei said Ning Shu. Now that they were facing each other so calmly, there were no feelings between them. The reason why Wuxia wanted to take her daughter with her was that she didn't want to see him in such a mess. After the divorce, their daughter sometimes went to see him. Even if he was tormented, he was single. It was his freedom to date whoever he wanted. He was less affected. Ning Shu was really uncomfortable. His whole body was in pain, as if it was falling apart. "When our daughter comes out or wakes up, let me know immediately. Lihe will panic if she doesn't see me." Yu Wei was still in disbelief. He asked, "Did you really go to save her alone?" Then she found the kidnapper in the hands of the kidnappers. His ex-wife was so fierce. "Why didn't you call me? What's the use of calling you? You are on the headlines every day. There are paparazzi following you all the time. Did you get entangled with any woman? If the news gets out, what if the kidnappers are angry? If my daughter is gone, you have to compensate me." Ning Shu said bluntly. It was because the both of them were public figures and didn't want to take any risks. Yu Wei touched his nose. "All right, I won't say any more." Yu Wei was a mature and stable middle-aged man. He managed his body well. He didn't have a big belly or balding head. He was rich, good-looking, and had a good figure. Any woman would want to get a sum of money from him. Ning Shu looked at his eyes. There were dark circles under his eyes. "Be careful not to overindulge. You go back too. You don't have to follow me," Yu Wei said to his female companion. The female companion pouted and wanted to stay. But when she saw Yu Wei's expression, she could only leave obediently. She glanced at Ning Shu with pride. "Old woman." Ning Shu ignored her. He went to the hotel next to the hospital to wash up and change into clean clothes. When he returned to the hospital, Yu Lihe still hadn't woken up. The police came to ask about the incident. Kidnapping was a very serious criminal case. The police asked doubtfully, "Why didn't you call the police? It's dangerous for you to go alone. Also, how can a woman like you deal with 4 men? The difference in physical strength between men and women wasn't a joke. 1-on-1 might not even be able to win, let alone 1-on-4. Ning Shu said, I bought pepper spray and sprayed it when I opened the door to attack the vital parts. Ning Shu took out his phone. There was a recording. Besides the obscenities of the kidnappers, there was also the sound of the fight. Police, he even recorded it beforehand. This kind of thing should be reported to the police. Ning Shu covered his face and said in a low voice, I also don't want to call the police. I'm a public figure. If I call the police, the media may know. If the kidnappers become angry and kill the hostage, what should I do? At this time, I can only go. With my motherly love, even if I die, I will die with my child. Boo-hoo. Ning Shu took a tissue and blew his nose. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.